우승에 도전하라. ASL 시즌 7.
Hello and welcome to the ASL Finals for Season 7. I am Artosis, joined by Tasteless, as is always the case.
It's good to be here, brother.
Yeah?
Oh, we are finally here at the ASL Finals, and what a finals we've got. Is Last going to become a champion once more here in current modern StarCraft Brood War, or is Mini going to do something he's never done before?
Indeed, it is an exciting finals, no doubt. Season 7, one of our better seasons so far. We've had a lot of highly contested matches, and this wasn't one of those tournaments that only had 1 to 2 favorites, i.e. Flash, right? It was one full of players that could have made it here to the finals, and to be honest, we're almost surprised with who did make it.
Yeah, it's been wild. You can definitely see the landscape is changing as far as who can stay on top. Last is looking to be an incredibly strong player. He did dominate Jaedong not long ago in the KSL Finals. It would be history in the making if he managed to get another championship so recently. No rain here. That was a big shocker. An effort, of course, finally starting to catch his stride, looking like the effort that we used to see a long time ago. Not in this finals as well. Instead, Mini has made it this far.
Well, let's take a look at who has predicted who to win. The other round of 16 players, we see only 4 think that Mini will actually take home the championship. Notably, the Terran players very much think it is going to go to Last.
And here is an overall vote from our viewers, from the fans of the show. You can see it's about 33% going here for Mini, 67 for Last.
Yeah, I think that is about right. That's what people are generally feeling right now. Obviously, as you mentioned, Tasteless, Last is a champion of KSL, so he's been here before.
All right, guys, let's get this finals going here. Last versus Mini.
National StarLeague, new beginning. ASL Season 1, this is your day. ASL Season 2 to Season 4, the return of the king. ASL Season 5, turnaround. ASL Season 6, the time is now. Then, a champion dethroned. A splendid comeback, a new wave. And now, ASL Season 7, break the break.
ASL Season 7 final. This is John, the translator. We're about to have pre-match interview with our 2 finalists, Mini and Last.
이 무대에 올라온 2명의 결승 진출자와 이야기를 나눠보도록
2021 만에 결승
결승전에
took you
올라왔는데
2,000 days
김성현 선수예요.
to last make it to the final.
KSL 우승
Your
차지하고
opponent
이제
is last.
ASL까지 먹으려고 나왔습니다. 하지만 그럴 때 변현재 선수는요. 계속
Now last has
전진했죠.
been champion of
ASL
KSL and he has a shot at becoming ASL champion also.
우승할 가능성 어느 정도로 평가하세요?
Now very tough opponent. How high is your chance of winning today, Mini?
네.
And Mini says it's 99%.
테란전 승률 찾아보니까 2승 5패. 저그전 굉장히 잘했어요.
Now you've been doing really well against Zerg, but against Terran you have 2 win and 5 loss of records so far. But you still think it's 99%?
때문에 이제 테란전도 안 질 것 같아요.
I gained a lot of confidence through my Zerg records, and I think I can play well against Terran now.
변현재 선수가 여기 김성현 선수를 끌고 알파고를 끌고 전기 이제 안 칩니까?
일단 상현이 형을 지옥 끝까지.
Today will be execution day for last, you say. And yes, indeed,
지옥으로 끌고
I will take him straight to hell.
김성현 선수는 웃었어요.
Now, last reaction to Mini's comment, he smiled.
나는 ASL 우승자다.
In round of 4 interview, you said that once you take down Rain, that you can pretty much take down the entire season. Do you still feel the same? Oh yes, it's true. I took down the best Protoss in round of 4. I think finals is strongly in my favor.
그렇죠. 제가 이제 마지막에 남겠습니다.
I'll be the last man standing today, says last.
변현재 선수가 수많은 저우들을 엄청난 견제력으로 해서 때려잡는 모습 지켜봤을 거 아니에요.
I'm sure you've seen Mini take down many Zerg players
그 누구보다도
this
변현재
season.
선수의 그 과정을 잘 아는 김성현 선수 입장에서 지금의 변현재 선수는 어떤 선수로 평가하세요?
How would you rate Mini? Of course, he's a very tough opponent from Terran standpoint of view, but I practiced hard and I'm very confident. Mini said his chances are 99%. Can you tell the fans can you make any promises to fans today? My goal today is to win 3-0 and I will show with my results.
3대0 변현재 선수 이야기 들었죠?
3-0. Did you hear that, Mini?
정윤종이 최고래요.
He says Rain is the best Protoss.
어차피 김성현 선수도 최고가 아니잖아요. 테란 중에.
I can say the same. Last is not the best Terran.
최고가 아니고 변현재 선수 마음속에는 김성현은 최고의 테란이 아니다.
그렇죠. 어차피 최고의 테란은 이번 시즌 참가 안 했고.
The best Terran, I won't say who, but he didn't
저도 어차피
participate this season.
두
I guess everybody knows who he is. It's probably second best.
이제 똑같은
And
것 같아요.
I think I'm probably second best in Protoss also.
만나는 게 꿈인데 결승 무대에서 그 선수가 안 나와서
이번 시즌에 우승을 하고 그 다음 시즌에 최고의 선수랑 만나는 게
Hopefully I can win this season and in the following season I can meet the best Terran.
선수가 최고가 아니고 다음 결승전까지 지금 변현재 선수는 기다리고 있어요.
So Mini says he'll be waiting for next season final for the best Terran. What do you think?
우승은 제가 하지 않을까 싶어요.
Well, regardless of what it says, I think I'll probably win this season today.
좀 강력하게 김성현이 변현재를 이길 거다. 예전부터 봐와서요.
일단은 이번에 이제 좀 풀 세트를 가면서 좀 이제 좀 많이 발전한 부분도 있고.
So I've been watching him play.
자신 있습니다.
But he is impressive. I gained a lot of confidence throughout the season. I'm feeling very confident for the final.
한 말씀 해주시죠.
Okay, Mini, can you say anything to the last?
2인자로 남아. 난 1인자로 갈게.
You will forever remain second place while I'll move on to first place
얼굴을 쳐다보고 이야기했거든요.
for my race.
김성현 선수는요 어떤 이야기를 할까요?
Last, can you say anything to Mini?
끌어내릴게요.
두 선수의
Okay, you're going down today. Very straightforward.
틀을 깨고 역대급 결승전을 평가받고 있는 이번 시즌 과연 어느 팀이 우승을 차지할까요? 어느 선수가
So
우승을 하고
we'll move on to
어느
the match.
선수가
At
자기 이름을
last,
올려볼까요?
we'll see
여러분의
which player
뜨거운
will break the frame and become the champion.
AfreecaTV ASL Season 7 Finals.
터졌기 때문에
최승사자 변현재 입구를 꽉고 김정우 선수를 데려갑니다. 결승 진출.
자신의 멀티를 잃었기 때문에 예 들어갈 수
이제 알파고가 AS 결승 진출하는 그 꿈을 이뤄냅니다. 결승 진출.
자, 결승전 앞두고 있습니다. 서로의 소감에 대해서 좀 듣고 싶은데요.
결승 진출한 게 아직도 꿈만 같고요. 더 큰 무대에서 게임을 할 수 있어서 이제 좀 많이 설레는 것 같아요.
ASL 결승 진출이 처음이고 양대 리그 우승을 목표로 하고 있기 때문에 더더욱 뜻깊은 결승인 것 같아요, 이번에.
결승전 상대 서로가 될 거라고 좀 예상을 했는지 먼저 듣고 싶네요.
민종이 형이 올라왔으면 좀 힘든 승부가 될 거라고 예상을 하고 있었는데 꾸역꾸역 운 좋게 올라오더라고요. 더 좋은 상대라고 생각을 했어요. 제가 공식전이 앞서기 때문에.
근데 앞서도 얼마 안 앞서는데 비슷비슷하거든요. 저번 시즌에 정우 형한테 일격을 맞았기 때문에 좀 안 좋은 기억이 있었는데 현재가 올라오고 나서 되게 편할 것 같다, 되게 좋아요. 우승을 할 수 있을 것 같아서요.
성현이 형은 이제 게이머 때 봤을 때는 굉장히 잘한다고 생각했거든요. 쉽게 무너지는 게임은 하나도 없는 것 같아요. 잘 풀어나가는 것 같아요.
현재가 이제 스타일이 예전부터 이제 변태라고 많이 다른 토스들이랑은 달라가지고 그 스타일대로 성적을 내더라고요. 신기했어요.
김성현 선수는 손목에 대한 부상을 딛고 올라온 상태고 변현재 선수는 이 멘탈적인 부분을 한 시즌 한 시즌 닦아 나가면서 올라온 상태입니다.
현재가 멘탈적인 부분이 많이 약했는데도 불구하고 강한 상대를 꺾고 이제 결승까지 올라왔잖아요. 충분히 이제 경험이 많이 쌓였다고 생각하고.
성현이 형이 이제 손목 회복을 좀 했다라고 들었거든요. 결승전에서도 손목 아팠으면 제가 이기고도 인정을 받지 못할 거라고 생각을 했어요. 꺾으면 제가 이제 인정을 받을 것 같아요.
서로의 판짜기 능력에 대한 평가는 어떨까요?
현재가 워낙 스타일이 다양해가지고 뭘 할지 모르는 게 또 장점인 것 같아요. 머리가 좀 많이 아플 것 같아요.
누구보다 뛰어나다고 생각을 해요. 항상 완벽하게 준비를 하려고 하고 빈틈없는 모습을 좀 많이 보여주려고 하는 것 같아요.
서로 어느 정도 전략적인 준비가 되어 있나요?
항상 생각해두고 있는 테란전의 빌드는 가지고 있고 성현이 형이 4강에서 다 보여줬기 때문에 준비하기 힘들 거라고 생각을 해요.
빌드 보따리는 이제 생각하면 나오기 때문에 이번에도 준비하면 또 뭔가 나오지 않을까 싶고요. 저도 이번에 변칙적인 플레이도 많이 하고 운영의 기본기가 탄탄하다고 생각하기 때문에 압도적으로 찍어 눌러서 이기려고 합니다.
제가 장점인 셔틀이랑 멀티태스킹이거든요. 대놓고 셔틀 쓸 테니까 형이 한번 잘 막아봐.
근데 셔틀만 잘 쓰잖아.
대회에서 제일 무서운 플레이가 견제 플레이지.
못 이기지 않을까? 저는 3대 0이 목표입니다.
제가 첫 세트만 따낸다면 질 것 같진 않은 것 같아요.
양대리그 우승은 제가 이번에 우승하면 최초잖아요. 그래서 더더욱 기회를 놓치고 싶지 않아요. 이번에 꼭 우승하고 싶어요.
무대에 올라가면 더 좋은 전략이랑 더 좋은 경기력을 보여줄 수 있겠는데 라는 생각을 많이 했거든요. 그 목표를 이룰 수 있는 게 이제 한 단계 남은 것 같아요.
두 선수의 우승을 지켜보기 위해 온 많은 분들에게 어떤 모습을 보여주고 싶으신가요?
김태경 선수처럼 저만의 견제 방법으로 제 전략과 제 플레이를 이제 모두 다 보여드리겠습니다.
좋은 경기력을 이제 보여드리는 게 목표고요. 우승하는 모습을 보여드리고 싶어요.
SBS AfreecaTV presents AfreecaTV ASL Season 7 Finals.
All right, we are moments away from starting our finals here at the ASL. An unusual finals we have here. Mini actually managing to break out of that mold and get this far. Last, overcoming Rain in a very impressive series, and here he is, and he might get his second finals championship in a row.
Yeah, you know what? That would be amazing if he can be a KSL and ASL champion. He would be the first to hit both. Of course, there's only been 2 KSLs so far, but yeah, that is a big deal, no doubt about it. And I really like those videos kind of leading into this, reminding us the paths that these guys took. You look at Mini, he crushed every Zerg. The only reason Zerg isn't in this finals is because Mini is a Zerg wrecking ball. He just destroys every Zerg in his path. It wasn't expected, I think, for him to do this well, to beat effort to be here, but he did it. And then you look at Last, who had a ridiculously hard time. Everything in the round of 8 was actually very one-sided, even though it also, like 3-1, 3-1, 3-0. Those were actually all very one-sided match, whereas Last Sharp was an incredibly tight, close match. And then that round of 4, unbelievable. The best round of 4 we've had in an ASL thus far.
Oh, it was just incredible. If you haven't seen those, definitely go back and check out the VODs, because that was some of the best RTS you could ever ask for. Now here we are, Mini versus Last. We've talked about this a lot throughout this season of the ASL Artosis. Mini has a very deadly style of Protoss. It's a really dirty, harassment-oriented, aggressive style of play. He abuses shuttles, I think, almost better than anybody else, specifically against Terrans. I guess him and Snow, but Mini has a much different approach.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, right? Overall, like, Snow, when he has a shuttle, you know what's in it. It's a Reaver. When Mini has a shuttle, oh, that's not his only shuttle, bro. He's got 2 more shuttles, and they all have Zealots and Dragoons in them, okay? So this guy, he is kind of a wild player. They keep calling it a perverted style of play, which I think from any Terran's point of view would be accurate.
Oh yeah, there's so many things that Mini's done to show that you can break Terrans in ways we didn't think possible anymore. He's got all the timings mapped out perfectly. I really do think we're going to have a high amount of harassment player from Mini. I don't think he's simply bluffing in the interview to try to mislead Last here. Last definitely prepares better than almost any other player in the entire world when it comes to a series like this. And I think he's going to have to mix it up pretty well. I don't think Last can simply play a conservative game every game here and expect to come out on top against Mini. We might need to see Last once or twice open up, maybe with a 2-factory or something super aggressive and crazy like that, to try to throw Mini off.
You might be right, and we just saw those records. Don't take those completely at face value. Both these guys are at the top of the world in this matchup, even if their ASL records don't seem like it. Now, here's some key points about Mini. Not many Protosses have actually made it this far, so he is joining a very elite rank. If he does end up winning, of course, Rain and Shuttle, the 2 previous ASL Protoss winners. His nickname is Sapa, which if you watch a lot of his stream or just any pro gamer streams on AfreecaTV, you'll notice that there's this guy, Sapa, that is just a monster Protoss. That's Mini. That's his online account that he uses quite often. Sapa, kind of loosely translated, is something like unorthodox, because he is such a wild player. It's hard to get a perfect translation on that word, on that idea, but it reflects his play style very well.
Yeah, and that unique style is going to be exhibited here. Last, nicknamed AlphaGo, that's referencing the AI that managed to defeat the very best Go player in the entire world, actually here in Seoul. A lot of the players that followed that moment in history developing, they also nicknamed him AlphaGo, his fan base did, because he seems to just have such an incredible play style. It's so calculated, it's so good. It's about as close to Flash as I think you can get.
It is. Actually, that's a perfect thing to say. He is the player that has gained this nickname, and he is the second best Terran in the world. Mechanically, he's the only one within sight of Flash for the Terran race. So it's a fitting nickname. It's kind of funny, StarCraft 2 has Zest with that similar nickname. They call him Alpha Jew. And, you know, these are just amazing mechanical players, and that is definitely one of his strong suits. But, you know, Mini having that kind of crazy style, sometimes the mechanics don't matter as much. It doesn't matter how good your late game macro is if he exploits you early on in the game. Now, does it?
Certainly not. I mean, there's so many ways you can come in there and just do damage to Terran right away. This is the problem that a lot of Terrans have early on against Protoss. Anybody who's experienced Terran in trying to get into late games, you'll discover that there are so many different ways a Protoss can try to take you down before you're really ever able to get started. Now, that doesn't mean that Mini will harass every game. There's a high chance we'll have some pretty epic late game as well, but I'm most interested in the early game and what Mini's going to try to do here against Last and whether or not Last can hold on to it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting because there's some very sharp angles that both of these players can play from, right? There are things like proxy gates, proxy barracks play. Those can be risky, but they are high risk and high reward. You know, obviously there's things like one base builds from Mini, including Dark Templar tech. Whereas over on Last side, you mentioned there's 2 factory, there's new FD builds that are out there, there's early dropship play that has emerged. But let's not forget, both these guys can go for fast expansions as well. There's a huge range of openers from both sides, and this isn't ladder games. This isn't like you're trying to grind out a solid strategy through these 5 maps. What you're trying to do is come at these almost like oblique angles, nail your opponent, and win the map, because that's how you're going to win a championship.
It's funny because historically PvT was one of the most restricted matchups. There were not anywhere near as many openers. And now it's blossomed into a matchup where there are so many different ways for each race to open up and play, making it much more complex and certainly much more interesting for a series as long as this one.
Yeah, it is going to be such an interesting and exciting one. Like, I cannot wait to see what builds they have. These are just their records on the way here. If you know Korean names well, you're going to look at Minis and say, wow, that's a lot of PVZ. Yes, you would be correct about that. This guy is a PVZ monster. Just slayed every top Zerg in the world on his way here into the finals. Whereas Last, he had a more varied set of opponents. But both of them kind of, you know, they don't have high win rates entering here. We've definitely had players get to the finals on the back of dominating runs. That isn't the case with either of these.
Here is our map lineup. We're going to start this off on Neo Sylphid. Game 2, match point. Game 3, whiteout. Game 4, blockchain. And as is tradition in StarCraft 1, we do end the series if we get that far. If we go to Game 5, we will end it on the map we started on, once again, Neo Sylphid.
And I really love this map lineup, this map order. Neo Sylphid, I think, has given us overall the best TVPs that we've had in this season. It's a fantastic map for the matchup. It's really been rebalanced in a lot of great ways. So I'm very excited to see that played twice if we get to Game 5.
And I think we probably will get to Game 5 here. These guys are very evenly matched. We are so close to getting this series started. Do tell your friends to join us here at AfreecaTV, as I think this is going to be one of the funnest RTS matches you could ask for.
Indeed, indeed. It's in the ASL finals. What else can you ask for, truly? It's the greatest players in the world of the most mechanically demanding, challenging game ever created.
I do want to point out here, Mini has nowhere near the amount of major stage experience as Last does. He is going to possibly be feeling a little bit out of his element. He's one of the more emotional players we have here in the ASL.
Yeah.
He really does wear his heart on his sleeve when he's playing. We a lot of times have big player cams on the players' faces as the games are going on, and if he loses his shuttle or miscontrols a unit, you'll see him react emotionally.
Oh, yes.
And I'm curious to see if that's going to get the better of him, especially against a player like we have here right now, Last, someone who has now been on the stage and been the center of attention in StarCraft 1 for so long.
Yeah.
You have to imagine this guy is in his element.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even during his brief stint in StarCraft 2, he got 3rd place in an OSL. So this guy has been a force for quite some time, and he is really the leading contender for best Terran in the world when Flash finally ends up going to the military. So if he can add this 2nd championship to his belt already, that is a defining moment in his career. You never want to be a one-hit wonder.
That's right. We're going to start this off on Neo Sylphid. This is a map where Terrans can do a 2-factory play. Protosses could try to do some kind of a Dragoon rush here. There's a lot of different ways to play maps when you don't have a ramp that exits out of your main base, when you're basically on low ground.
Yeah.
You got to be very careful about aggression on either side, by the way. Races can open up in incredibly fast ways. We have seen some very quick expand builds used just throughout these maps here. And we're going to have to wait and see if that's going to be a factor as well. A lot of different directions this matchup could go in.
You see down at the bottom, we actually have the prediction of the other pro gamers on who is going to win this first map. Very interesting. I'd love to see what the other race at the top thinks will happen. For Mini's side, we actually have both Piano and Sharp saying that they think he will end up winning. Now, Sharp is the third best Terran in the world. It's almost doubtless in my mind that Mini probably practiced with him. So I think Mini is going to have something very strong planned here.
All right, game one is ready on Neo Silpid. Mini versus Last here in the ASL Finals.
Now playing in Neo Silpid.
We are sold out here, packed at Olympic Park in, sorry, I think you called it Olympic Hall, is that?
Olympic Hall.
Olympic Hall, okay.
At Olympic Park.
Yes, at Olympic Park, thank you. Big audience down here. We sold out all of our tickets. We still have a few more audience members filing in here, but this is going to be such a cool finals. And it's you know, it's hard to know who to root for here. You know, with Mini having his first major finals like this, and he was a little bit overshadowed by a lot of the other players here in the ASL and the fact that he's made it this far. But for him to go up against Last, the new generation of top-tier Terran representation.
Yes.
And the fact that Last could make history by winning another StarCraft 1 Finals, that would just be insane.
Well, I think that this match in particular is one that years from now we're going to look back and be like, yeah, that was actually kind of an interesting one, because if you look at the type of quality players that both of these are, this will not be the last finals for either player.
Wait.
Okay. Yeah, that's a...
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Now. No, it's just an 8 scout, so nothing too crazy.
I jumped the gun there. Go ahead.
But anyways, Last, of course, we keep talking about how he is the second best Terran in the world right now. He is mechanically the best player after Flash. So there's all that, right? He should be able to make it back to finals without an issue. Mini, on the other hand, it is normally the Protoss versus Zerg matchup that hinders Protoss players and makes them inconsistent. That's why Bisu is the greatest of all time for Protoss, because he's the greatest PvZ of all time. But Mini's PvZ is on that level. So yes. I feel like there is just literally nothing you can do to stop Mini's future at this point. He is going to have a bright future. He is going to make it deep in tournaments for the rest of time based on the strength of that matchup.
I couldn't agree with you more, Artosis. You're right. It doesn't seem like he has any of the traditional obstacles that a lot of Protoss players have struggled with in their careers in order to try to get that amount of dominance here. And let's see what he's got in store for us here in this PvT. The fact that he had to kill so many Zergs to get this far also inadvertently means he's been able to pretty successfully disguise whatever his best PvT builds are, because he hasn't had to face off any Terrans.
It is so important, because you are not going to use weak strategies on your ways to ASL finals. There's just too many strong players, whereas Last had to defeat Rain in a best-of-5 that went to 5 maps in the previous round. And Rain is considered the best Protoss on Earth. So when you put all that together, absolutely, there is a lot of Last play that has been showcased lately in this matchup.
So we're still waiting to see what the builds are going to be exactly. Nobody went for any kind of super risky fast expand. Nobody did anything proxied in the middle of the map. So it's a little bit more in the middle, more of the Goldilocks builds here, Artosis, for each side. And we're going to wait as they tech up and see if anything dramatic will go on from there.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what Last wants to do on this first map. I'm very, very excited about it, because you can do anything from just straight up expanding. Even how you expand is something that really matters. Like, are you going 3 Marines in a bunker? Are you going to make a Vulture first? Do you want to go right into siege mode? All these things really factor in. And right now, just scouting in this space, of course, the Dragoon will be able to chase this out.
He wants to get rid of this SCV as quickly as possible so he can try to start his tech up, whatever that is, or try to get an expansion up. There's so many different forks in the road as far as what Protoss can do in this matchup early on.
Well, it looks like the Vulture is going to be made first here from Last. So that is an important thing to note. You will get a bunker with this, but that Vulture, This Vulture can cause a lot of problems into the mid-game. Sometimes you'll rush into mines and lay them around the map trying to trap your opponent's Dragoons. Sometimes you'll put them down at expansions. Obviously, it is a very fast unit. It can scout for proxies and all that. But Mini's playing a very standard, normal way, right? He's gotten a few Dragoons. He's gone into the Nexus and right into a Robo afterwards.
Yeah, you're completely right. This is about as standard as you can go for. We'll see if he goes for a Reaver after he gets the expansion up. That's a little bit more standard now. The older version of this build is you'd get 2 more gateways and just go Dragoon Observer, which is still an acceptable way to play, by the way. Just not utilized quite as much as trying to tech into Reavers here. Now, one thing that I really like about sending that early Vulture out right away is that it allows you to preempt the contain that the Protoss wants to do. A lot of Protosses want to send 1 or 2 Dragoons out, try to contain the Terran, kill any SCVs or Vultures that could be coming out. But having this Vulture on the map, and we already see this Dragoon now beginning to come out here, having the Vulture on the map means you could absolutely slip in there and do a lot of damage.
Absolutely. It is so important to do. And you see how he is actually staying back with the Dragoons. He has them perfectly spread right now looking for this Vulture. See that? Oh my god, he has the mines. He brings out his 3 Marines and a siege tank. He's actually looking to possibly push back a Dragoon here because they are split so well. There are a lot of little mind games going on right now, but both sides playing immaculately.
You got to be careful with this Dragoon range. If the control is really good here for the Protoss, you can slowly chip away at this army until there's nothing left. But of course, 1 or 2 mistakes here with your own Dragoon control, and Dragoons are not easy units to control, you could end up losing them. So it's tricky on both sides. And by the way, it's straight into Reaver, off of 1 gateway.
And on last side, he's actually gone directly into a starport. So this starport is instantly making a Wraith. This is something he showcased quite a bit against Rain in the previous round, going instantly for a Wraith, not even knowing that his opponent was going for that Reaver. But it's so strong, especially on this map, I think it's a great choice.
I agree, Artosis. I think this is probably one of the best builds you can do right now in modern high-level TVP, is to blind counter the shuttle.
Oftentimes, especially like in these spots where the back of your main is towards the Protoss front, the Reaver tech becomes even more powerful. So Last is going to be ready for this. Generally, you'll fly in with a Reaver and a couple Zealots, and if you counter that perfectly with the Wraith and your ground units, you are going to smash that early aggression from the Protoss.
Now, almost always, when you're going for Reaver tech in modern PvT, you immediately get the shuttle speed. Getting that shuttle speed allows you to, for one, if they do have a Wraith, run away, but you just get way more damage overall with the Reaver. Oh, nice control here. It does not connect.
There's a second mine there, though. Very annoying. He just flew over a mine, I believe.
He did.
Oh my gosh, that means that Last is really going to be ready. Look at this now. He's going to get that shuttle. A lot of trouble here. Mini's in.
He needs to unload. He's going to have to do a dump. And there should be, I think, what, 2 Zealots? Yeah. Okay, so he saves everything. It's not the end of the world, but this certainly curbs any damage that Mini could have done here, as he's going to have to try to go back home. Now, keep in mind, historically, the Reaver was viewed as a harass unit. Of course, it still is today, but it's also used a lot in PvT, just in the middle of the fight itself.
Yeah.
You can take out so much, whether it's Vultures or siege tanks, if you can just control that Reaver correctly. So we're going to have a second shuttle pop out here, almost 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to come out and try to assist in any pushes coming from the Terran. But it looks like instead, for Last, he's going to go for drop play.
Well, you know, it's smart to go ahead and get that add-on, see if you can get something done with the dropship. But in the meantime, he's also getting his third base immediately on that mineral base on the right-hand side. And I think that this is a perfect response, right? He's already blocked the first shuttle. He knows his opponent doesn't have many ground units because of what he's spent all of his money on. So I think that Last is in good shape here, but Mini, he has that second speed shuttle out now. He can go and poke because the Wraith has a much harder time dealing with a speed shuttle, but will he get anything done with it?
It would seem like it should be too late. I think at this point in time, if he's going to get any harass off, it should be at that third base over there for Last. That is an ambitious play, by the way, for Last to take that third, but it does make sense considering that the shuttle was killed.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very safe in this type of situation to take it on location this early. It's just, if you kill that shuttle, and like you said, they almost always get shuttle speed, that's a lot of resources put into the Reaver tech that did 0 against you. So you're feeling pretty safe and pretty strong right now as Last.
Okay, unfortunately, 1 Dragoon is picked off. And we have, at the last second here, Last actually coming out to try to block off any additional units. So that's going to be the second Dragoon that's picked off.
nothing bad happening to Last at all so far this game.
Okay,
oh,
there it is.
Double shuttle.
Does he only have 1 or 2 observers on the map?
Yeah, I think so.
This is
Not
so
many.
funny
He had
how
one going to
places.
the main.
So he's going to try to barrel in here, and the front shuttle will take a lot of the damage while the other shuttle can unload the Reavers here. Now, even though this isn't exactly close to the SCVs, he can still do a lot of damage and maybe even take these depots out once the SCVs are pulled.
Yeah, he's working on the turret right now, see if he can get that, but he actually takes a few too many shots. Oh! The Wraith takes down the second shuttle.
And he
a
saves
huge
the Wraith.
moment.
Beautifully done.
Oh, the Reaver going to try to creep in here. I don't know how much is going to get done, though. Maybe it'll kill a couple more Vultures, but this is basically cleared. The economy hasn't really been hindered so far for Last. I would say overall this is very, very good for our Terran player.
Yeah, Last has a really good spread everywhere. And losing those 2 shuttles, you kind of need to get some more SCVs than that when you do that kind of drop.
Oh, absolutely you do, yeah.
So everything's been a little bit delayed because we've had to reproduce so many shuttles, and now Reavers are going to be reproduced. That Zealot Legs is going to be late. I like the trajectory of this game for the Terran.
Absolutely. When you've lost 3 shuttles, a Reaver, 3-4 Dragoons, 4 Zealots, and what have you killed? A turret or 2, a depot maybe, 4 Vultures? Like, right now, Last is feeling fantastic. He's really getting his macro engine going. He has a dropship out on the map. He's keeping track of bases, making sure that Mini is not overexpanding. Look how close their supplies are right now. That's fantastic for the Terran player.
Now, is there actually very much to defend here? We see the idea of defense is coming in. He's getting a cannon. I think that drop is going to happen before the cannon can finish. But meanwhile, I think Mini's actually going to try to set up for a bust over here.
Oh, we'll see what he gets done, but with this Vulture drop coming off and the cannon not ready, that is a lot of damage on the other side. Hold on, though. The 2 shuttles flying in, dropping some Zealots on top of these siege tanks. Those Dragoons having a hard time joining the fight, though.
Yeah, the Dragoons are beginning to spill down here. He is going to take out a lot of these tanks. And he broke in his position. Oh my God, Mini is so good. What?
I mean, he's lost so much, he just keeps building shuttles, and here he is breaking through with this tank line, breaking into this 3rd base.
I can't believe he's actually doing this.
Yeah.
He is so good. And there's just not enough tanks for Last to try to advance on this position.
Oh man, even killing that science facility is a big deal when you're only on 2 gas. Last having a bit of a trouble here. He's gonna have to float away his 3rd CC. And Mini is expanding once again.
Okay, this is beautiful. The fact that he actually took the command center out is huge. And this is going to be the 4th base. Now, the only thing you want to watch for is a possible counter push here by the Terran. A lot of those units that Mini sent out are actually marooned on the upper right side of the map. They can't get back home. And sometimes if you start to lose chunks of army, a counter push can really hurt you. But I think in this case, Last should be okay as long as he buys enough time.
Well, you know, Mini killed a lot of siege tanks there, so I don't think that a counterattack right now is going to do too much. He's actually bringing a lot of units up right now. He does have an observer in place. And I got to tell you, with the small tank count, I'm now a little bit nervous for Last.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. I do want to point out that Mini is doing all this off of 1 observer roaming the middle of the map, which is really hard to do when you consider how many mines can actually be sprinkled everywhere. But he's basically picked up a pretty tremendous lead. Now, just now, Last is going to reclaim this location, and Mini's going to try to come in here and see if he can't carve out a little bit more damage.
Well, I don't know about
that shuttle again.
Oh my God, flies right through 2 missile turrets, dropping a Reaver and Zealots on top of that tank, but a lot of tanks still left over here. The Reaver goes down in a matter of seconds. More Dragoons walking up, but it feels to me like this was a good trade for Last.
Yeah, that was the kind of engagement that Last needed, one where Protoss basically overextended. I don't think he really realized how far back the siege line was. It looked like there were 3 tanks when in fact there were a total of 5.
Yeah.
And the drops did not kill the 2 in the back.
He was waiting for a full committal from Mini there. That's the type of situation that you're actually hoping for is Last. And now look at that factory count. Oh, nerd chills right now, Tasteless. He's really getting his macro rolling. I mean, Mini definitely has made a few good moves this game, but suddenly, you know, you trade off a big chunk of army like that, and Last is going to be on time for his next push.
Okay, Vultures are coming out. Now, I think the army might be a little bit too sparse here for Mini, and these Vultures can actually just simply put mow down all these probes without much to contest it. And the Dragoons are actually coming in here, but it's going to be the Dragoons trying to cut off the Vultures at the pass. Of course, the Vultures being as fast as they are, they're going to get away pretty easily. Oh, that could have been much worse.
Yeah, indeed it could have. Right now we should mention the upgrades. 2-1 is done for last. A lot of times that's when you want to attack, but the game has been kind of crazy. He doesn't have a huge army right now, so instead trying to get some harassment going. Look at this, even pushing through the map with some more turrets, laying down his mines. It seems to me that he just wants to take a 4th base right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the play that he needs to have here. And there's that 4th base being taken. It's going to be pretty tough for Protoss to get over there and try to break that. Now, we're having shuttles constantly be remade, which is one of the reasons why some of the later game tech isn't coming out as fast as we normally see. Mini's style here is much more oriented towards actually getting into fights. It's counterintuitive to a lot of older styles of play here for Protoss, and we're seeing this pan out right now. Instead of trying to rush up to carriers or arbiters, what you're doing is getting a lot of gateways. You're not getting your additional gases as fast. You're using a lot more minerals on shuttles and on reavers.
Yeah.
And then also on other nexuses to try to continue to grow and poke holes in the Terran's defense. This forces Terran to have a wide spread of siege tanks. It forces them to make a lot more turrets than they normally have to get. And via this style of play, we've already seen it. Oh man, he loses the shuttle. Via this style of play, it oftentimes allows Protoss to find a weak spot and break it with multiple shuttles with zealots in it.
Well, you have to do that if you're not taking up more, because if you don't, Terran will eventually roll through you with their gross upgrade advantage. Right now, I guarantee you, Last has 3-2 on the way. And if he gets his 4th base up, gets 3-2, takes that little pocket base as well, that is going to be a frightful army if you don't have Psystorm and Arbiters.
Okay. The Forge upgrades are on the way here. Now, we have Psystorm made. This is another thing that's very interesting about the way that Mini is approaching this, specifically this game, but in this matchup in general as well. Normally we'd see Arbiters out or carries, but instead getting Psystorm because Mini knows the way that he's dragged this game out, Storm is going to be more important than Arbiter, Cloak, or carriers, because he knows that a push coming from Terran will not be as focused on necessarily utilizing siege mode. Terran, when they have the the right upgrade combination, they a lot of times can just steamroll the Protoss' army, so Storm becomes necessary to try to take off big blobs of Terran units.
Yeah, you definitely do need Psystorm on this map against a lot of the styles right now where Last is just macroing like a madman. If you hit a few good storms, that can help you break through that siege line. Now, Mini is maxed out. Last is not yet. Mini looks like he wants to go for the attack. A lot of clump siege tanks here. Now, this might go well if he gets good storms.
There might be Psystorm inside these shuttles. Yes, there is, and here they go down now.
Oh my God, these Psystorms out of control, and he is going to completely smash the bottom of this line of tanks.
Beautifully done, knocking Terran off of this position. I'm not clear on if there's siege tanks up on the high ground, just as +3 attack and +2 armor finish up. The only thing remaining to try to help defend is this bunker.
Yeah, the bunker is nice and well placed, but he needs to send more units than that. If he has another Psystorm as well, those SCVs could be in some trouble. Oh my God, Last has got to get down here and save this base.
Okay, he's sending some siege tanks down here. Keep in mind, Mini is going to be macroing up very quickly for another attack to come in over here.
Oh.
That was the most ambitious storm I've ever seen, and it hit neither tank.
Well, I got to tell you something, Tasus. 3-2 is done for Mini, or for Last, and Mini is just on +2 attack. He hasn't started an Arbiter yet. So while that was a strong attack from Mini overall, Last is hitting that beautiful area of Terran where you feel like you can attack, move through anything.
This is getting kind of crazy, man. Now Last is hanging on. He's doing a good job, and I think tech-wise, I'm probably be a little bit more comfortable as Last here. Mini's Arbiter count's going to be pretty shockingly low. Like one EMP gets on an Arbiter, and I think it might end up costing Mini the game.
Well, the fact that he doesn't have those ARBs out yet, the fact that he doesn't have the possibility of a recall or stasising the tanks. Yeah, Psystorm's good. Yeah, Psystorm's helpful. But with these 3-2 upgrades, if Last continues on this course, I can't see Mini continually breaking through anymore.
Yeah, this is tough now. Mini was doing a pretty impressive job throughout most of this game, but it just seems like Last is stabilized. The fact that Last is outgrowing Mini in supply, you know, in most ordinary games, the Protoss is about 20 supply ahead of the Terran. Not this time around here.
Yeah, Last supply definitely looking very, very strong. This is the type of situation where you really need your spellcasters to kick in.
Is this a storm drop? Yes, it is.
All right, a couple very Side Storms. Wow. Really well done right there. Fantastic play.
It's so funny. He plays it like it's a PvZ or a PvP with these storm drops.
Well, this is his style in a way. He's a very harass-based Protoss player. He loves shuttles. And, I mean, all we get to see him play anyways is PvZ, so may as well play that matchup here.
So crazy. Well, I'll tell you, it's really hard, no matter what race you're playing, is to stop speed shuttles with Side Storm in them.
Indeed it is.
The damage, it just does so much. It just does so much.
Well, right now, Mini has taken another base down at the bottom, as we already saw, but Last is getting ready to push. There's no question about that. There's nothing else left for him to do but to move out and start killing bases. Now, this is where we get to see how Mini works with his unit movements. We've seen epic games of this style with Rain. Can he do the same?
Okay, he's coming in. These Dragoons are isolated. This is certainly not enough Dragoons to ever fight this off. And with so many Vultures out, I question how much damage even these Zealots can do.
Oh yeah, those Zealots are mincemeat if they run into this army. He needs more than that. Where are the Psy Storms now? Where are those Arbiters? That is a ridiculous amount of siege tanks.
It looks like he's decided Last has to try to push up into the top. This is going to mean that Mini's lower base is going to be ignored, at least for now. And I think what Last is actually going to do is push into the natural, because that way he can control all the gateway rally points. And this is one way, it's a much more technical way, but a way to take out a good Terran player, or a good Protoss player.
Oh, a ridiculously awesome EMP coming out to hit those Templars as they're dropped out. But that flank from Mini was really poor over the bridge. Looks like he's trying to do a counterattack here, but this shouldn't do that much either, to be honest. This push doesn't look like it's going to be denied.
So once the siege tanks can come up here and clog up the gateway rally, then I think it will be easy for Last to take out all these additional bases. But did he spread himself too thin? I mean, those are just tanks over there, Artosis.
Yeah, it seems like there just might not be enough up at the top to stop this. In the meantime, the Vultures keeping an eye on anything coming out of that main base area. Beautiful mines laid off here as well, and he is sieging 3 bases at once.
This is pretty crazy. He's sieging him now. He's going to hit this Nexus. Last supply is now vastly exceeding that of Mini's. And I think if Last can poke out these few remaining bases, that's all he needs to do.
Yeah, this is getting so tough right now for Mini to find any way out of here. He's barely mining at this point. A few units coming out of his gateways. He does have an Arbiter, but, I mean, Arbiters can't lift up this much.
Now, bear in mind, I think if this Storm Drop comes in over here, assuming that it is a Storm Drop, yeah, this is like basically the only mining base here for Last. He does have one other expansion to the upper right, but that should be mining out pretty quickly. Wow, and he loses that Templar as well.
Yeah, it is painful indeed, but I think even that Psy Storm might not have been enough. He's down 60 supply right now. That's it.
GG. Game 1 goes to Last.
All right, beautifully played from our Terran player there. Definitely some things went wrong for him at certain parts of the game, but Mini maybe trying to end it a little bit prematurely, especially that one big attack into the 5 tanks that were spread back. It felt like he gave away a little bit too much there.
We saw Mini's style. It looked really scary. It looked really strong. However, Last managed to fend it off and ultimately closed that out with a push. Had Mini had other gateways in the other starting location on the map, it might have been a different story. But once Mini was cornered as far as where his rally points were, it's much easier for Terran to divide and conquer at that point in time.
Yeah, that was a really interesting game because it was very standard in a lot of ways, even though they both showcase their own style. The ticking time bomb of 3-3 Terran mech just blowing up in Mini's face, unable to get that critical damage done beforehand.
Well, we're far from over here. This is a best of 5. Mini, he looked really good in a lot of moments in that game, but let's not forget that his initial shuttle was shot down. He didn't come in there and do the damage he had already set out to do, which players like him and Snow have shown to be one of the scariest things about early game PvT. So the next question is, how does Mini open up in our next game? Will he continue to do this Reaver style?
Yeah.
And if he does, will Last continue to blind counter it with that initial rate?
Indeed. Now, this was an important moment. Look at this attack over the bridge. Very, very poor. And then look at this EMP. That was an insane EMP.
Yeah.
Just the right range to hit both High Templars coming out of a speed shuttle. I just can't even believe what I'm watching here.
It was really impressive. And had he got those storms off on the vultures, or had there been tanks there, the tanks instead, it might have been a different story. But losing those Templars, which are really the only adequate tech that you have to try to combat upgrades like that from Terran, that's what allowed Last to really punch through and take out those remaining bases.
Yeah, he really did get that macro engine going and looked so fearsome, but I don't think that too many games in the series are going to look like that. I think we're about to see a little bit more aggression being mixed in coming up.
김성현 선수의 ASL 8번째 시즌. 그 출발은 가시밭길을 걷는 듯 험난했습니다.
일단 테크 자체를 빨리 올려버렸거든요. 시합보가 하러 가는데요. 네.
처음에 너무 쉽게 막아가지고 이거 좀 쉽게 가나? 제 흐름대로 가는구나 이렇게 생각을 했어요.
첫 럴커 드랍을 순조롭게 막아낸 김성현 선수. 그러나 위기는 아직 끝나지 않았습니다.
제가 일단은 예상을 못했고요. 충분히 막을 수 있는 상황이었는데 컨트롤이 좀 좋지가 않았어요. 16강에서 지더라도 첫 경기는 제가 무조건 이기는 시나리오로 그림을 그려왔는데 이게 딱 처음부터 꼬이니까 좀 많이 당황스럽더라고요.
김윤환 선수의 드랍에 무너지면서 첫 경기를 패배한 김성현 선수. 생존을 위해 김민철 선수와의 경기에서 꺼내든 전략은 전진배럭이었습니다.
그때 당시에 제가 손목이 굉장히 안 좋아가지고 무난하게 가면은 승산이 좀 없다고 생각을 했어요. 그래서 이제 이길 수 있는 빌드를 준비를 해왔죠. 처음부터 일찍 바로 들키더라고요. 이거 2패 탈락이구나. 이제 드론이 좀 많이 나오더라고요. 민철이 형이 욕심을 부리면은 이거 이길 수 있겠다. 긴장의 끈을 놓지 않고 좀 잘했던 것 같아요.
패자전 경기에서 과감한 빌드 선택으로 살아남은 김성현 선수. 최종전에서 다시 전진배럭을 꺼내들었습니다.
민철이가 또 생더블을 좋아해가지고 그거를 좀 저격해서 운영 가면은 좀 제가 안 좋은 상황이어서 즉흥적으로 좀 빨리 끝내야 된다는 생각이 있었죠.
험난한 길을 거쳐 생존에 성공한 알파고 김성현 선수. 상대는 시즌6 8강에서 만났던 조기석 선수였습니다.
꼭 만나고 싶었거든요. 제가 이제 태태전을 제일 자신 있어 하기 때문에
ASL 최고의 테란을 가리는 경기답게 스코어는 2대2로 흘러가고 두 선수의 치열한 싸움에 긴장감도 더해졌습니다. 그러던 순간 조기석 선수가 벌처 2기를 손쉽게 내주면서 김성현 선수 쪽으로 경기가 기울기 시작합니다.
승리를 확신했어요. 이제 4강 갔구나. 근데 생각보다 장기전을 가고 좀 힘들게 이기긴 했죠.
16강부터 8강까지 모든 경기를 최종전까지 향하면서 4강에 오른 김성현 선수. 2018 블리즈컨에서 패배를 안겨준 정윤종 선수와의 맞대결을 펼치게 됐습니다. 1세트를 승리한 후 맞이한 화이트아웃에서의 2세트 경기. 정윤종 선수가 김성현 선수의 허를 찌르기 위해 빠르게 움직입니다.
바깥쪽에 투게이트를 지은 줄 알았는데 이제 본진에서 질럿이랑 프로브가 오더라고요. 근데 저는 제가 잘 막으면은 이거 충분히 막을만 하다고 생각했어요. 심시티가 워낙 좋아가지고.
본진 게이트를 잘 막아내며 승기를 유리하게 가져온 김성현 선수. 그러나 정윤종 선수에게도 강력한 한 방은 남아있었습니다.
고민을 했어요. 속업을 먼저 할까 시즈 모드를 먼저 할까. 결과적으로 이제 모드업이 안 된 상태에서 싸웠는데 거의 9대1 질 수 없는 게임을 져가지고 이게 너무 멘탈 관리가 안 되는 거예요. 4강에서 떨어진다면 너무 후회될 정도로 계속 게임하는 내내 생각이 나더라고요.
3세트를 장기전 끝에 아쉽게 패배하고 돌입한 4세트 경기. 정윤종 선수는 2인용 맵의 특성을 활용해 가스러시를 준비합니다. 가스러시를 당한 김성현 선수. 빠르게 승부를 보기 위해 배럭을 센터 지역에 건설하기 시작합니다.
가스러시를 노린 빌드였어요. 게이트 더블을 하면은 제가 무조건 이긴다는 확신이 있었고 치즈러시를 가면은 막기 힘들거든요.
과감한 선택으로 승부를 원점으로 돌린 김성현 선수. 마지막 세트에서도 전략적 선택이 빛났습니다.
블록체인에서 그 토스들이 뒷생 더블을 많이 하더라고요. 그래서 한 번쯤은 통할 것 같은 빌드여가지고 사용하게 됐죠.
정윤종 선수가 강력한 전투력으로 조금씩 득점을 하던 사이 김성현 선수의 앞마당 지역에서 대형 사고가 벌어집니다.
딱 리콜이 거기 떨어진 순간 이거 결승 가는구나. 뭔가 마음이 편해졌어요. 진짜 치명적인 실수를 한 거거든요.
치열했던 정윤종 선수와의 4강 경기 끝에 김성현 선수가 ASL 첫 결승 진출에 성공합니다.
우여곡절 끝에 좀 힘들게 진짜 풀세트 끝에 올라왔더라고요. 살아남기만 하자 이런 마인드로 참가를 했는데 결승전에는 좀 압도적인 모습을 보여드리고 싶어요.
ASL 시즌 7 변현재 선수와 김성현 선수의 결승전.
All right, welcome back to the ASL. We're going to be going to an interview, I believe, in just a little bit here. But first, Artosis, let's talk about that amazing series that we saw back. I should take game 1.
Yeah,
it was incredible.
It was a really cool game, and I think that that was a good pace setter for the rest of the match. Now, don't forget, if you are here at the venue, we have some prizes that you can end up winning. Look at all that cool stuff. There's a mouse pad, there's like this thing that looks like
we're giving away an
battery.
ASL Advil or something like that, an ASL ibuprofen down there.
Yeah, a hoodie as well,
yes.
so you can be warm while you take your aspirin.
Yep.
That little thing that goes in the back of your phone that you put your finger through so you don't drop your phone. I don't know who drops their phone so much that they need that, but it says ASL on it, so I want one.
Yeah, I want anything that says ASL. Guys, what a great finals. All right, we're going to go to a quick interview. John, go ahead and translate this, and then we'll be jumping into game number 2.
Okay, we're going to have some interview with the fans at the venue. Kam is here. Hello. You played against Mini in round of 8. Mini lost the first set. What do you think of the game? Well, if he's going to continue playing like this, he should just probably quit.
오히려 김윤환 선수의 이런 발언이 좀 변현재 선수의 긴장을 풀어줄 것 같은데 아마 첫 번째 세트를 패배하면서 가장 팬들이 걱정하는 건 변현재 선수의
So now after losing the first set, I'm sure the fans are worried that Mini may be too anxious in his first final stage. Did you have a talk with him? He seemed to have a lot of things going through his head before the match. I hope he can play more comfortably. Can you say anything to support Mini? So even if you lose today, you can continue playing Random Craft, which is Random Ability Craft, which is a mod on StarCraft. Now we have another player who's here to support last. He started out really well, winning the first set. Well, since he won against me, he has to take the championship. He played a perfect match, and I'm very proud of him. Last didn't seem nervous at all. You came to the venue very early. Did you have any talks with him before the game? Last set, if he wins the first set, he can win 3-0. But if it really becomes 3-0, I think it will be a boring final. So I hope the score becomes 3-2. Okay, any words of support to Last? Last, I hope you win today, fighting. Thank you for the interview.
자, 과연 두 번째 세트, 첫 번째 세트의 기세를 김성현 선수가 계속해서 이어나갈지 아니면 변현재 선수가 반전의 기반을 마련할 수 있을지 두 선수의 두 번째 세트 계속해서 함께하시죠.
We're going to be going into game 2 in just a little bit here. Game 1 was crazy. It was dramatic. It was drawn out. I hope we have another long game coming up here, but we could have something crazy and short as well, Artosis.
Well, our next map going to be Match Point, a very small two-player map. So if we're going to have a quick game, it very well could be this next one.
Oh, man. I really still think we're going to be going to Game 5 tonight here.
I certainly hope so.
We're seeing this already with Last in this season of ASL, but he seems to have a very good response, almost blind countering the shuttle play by immediately getting one Wraith out.
He loves to do this type of thing right now. It's a very stylish move from him to just kind of instantly get a Wraith, whether he knows that a shuttle is coming or not. Not that this is necessarily bad in any way, but yeah, it's a cool thing, and that's why I was saying I think that this sets the pace of the match now, because you have to just be sitting there as Mini thinking, is it even worth getting an early shuttle? Because if they get an early Wraith, it's a very strong counter to Reaver play.
It is. So then is there going to be some attempted, assuming we have a more normal game, a blind counter to the blind counter? Do you skip that entirely, go for observers, ready to defend, and just expand outward? By the way, here's a shot of a huge number of Mini supporters here that says that Mini's going to write a new history.
All right. Well, now we know what those Protoss fans look like. No, this is just so hype, man. It is packed in here right now. A really full crowd.
Definitely one of our better venues here at AfreecaTV that we've used.
It's beautiful, and I love us being on stage, Chaseless.
Yeah, me too.
This is an epic feeling.
I like that our ASL sign is lit up over there.
I'm not very athletic, but I could definitely hit last with a baseball if you gave me one. That's how close I am to it.
Yeah, we are very, very close. It's interesting to see both players just sitting up there, processing what's going on so far. Now, again, Mini is one of the more emotional players. Yeah. I'm hoping his mentality is still okay.
You don't think it's exploded yet?
Hopefully it's not been exploded, Artosis.
Yeah,
you know, the thing about Last is that he always has a poker face on. It's very hard to read anything as far as what's going on internally with him.
Yeah, he stays calm, cool, and collected. Some things go right, some things go wrong. He just kind of keeps on the course, and that's what you need to do as a macro Terran. But Mini has shown us in the past that when he goes into this mode, he generally starts playing a bit worse and has a harder time, but he pulled out of that against Effort, right? Like, he had the very, very close series against Effort in that round of 4, and it looked like his mentality had exploded by the end, but he pulled it together, played a magnificent game, and ended up winning and going to the finals. So maybe he is over-choking after situations like this.
Okay, to match point we go. This is a one-on-one map. And with only 2 starting locations, you can absolutely do proxies or various other types of insane cheeses. Gas steals can be very common here from the Protoss. Is Mini going to go for that this time around?
Well, I'm not sure, but I got to point out that based on the other players that got to the round of 16, only Best and Larva thought that Last will win this map. Now, here's 2 interesting things. One, Best is, for my money, one of the absolute best PvTers in the world. So that actually means a lot, I think. And then Larva, despite being a Zerg, he actually chose like almost every map and all the winners of all the series correctly so far.
That's true. That's a good point.
For some reason, Larva nails it most of the time, especially when there's no one else on his side. He's had some amazing predictions thus far.
Okay, going on to match point. Our game is now ready. This is a best of 5 in the ASL finals right now. Last with a 1-0 lead. Let's go to game 2.
Now playing in match point.
Okay, Mini here in the bottom left and Last in the upper right. We're going to watch and see if anybody does anything really crazy. Otherwise, we'll unpack a more ordinary standard TVP for you guys.
Well, match point is definitely a map, like you said. Gas steal can be very, very strong here. In these spots, it's much weaker than in the if they were in reverse spots because of the distance of the gas, but it still is doable. Proxy gates are doable. You know, proxy barracks, of course, is something that can be done. The Nexus first is a powerful move, but the counter rushes are real. I mean, there's a lot of mind games going on right here, even in this first match.
And so we see Mini setting a probe out pretty quickly.
That looks very much to me like a gas steal probe.
That's what I was thinking, Artosis. Let's wait for the confirm on that here. Again, completely packed here at Olympic Hall in Seoul. Now, when we talk about the gas steal, let's go ahead and explain why this is something the Protoss want to do. Remember, whenever you watch TVP, almost always there's going to be mech coming from the Terran. So to deny the gas, Protoss can then do this. It's a bit of a tightrope walk, but they absolutely can navigate the game to a direction where they can out-tech the Terran and try to take control that way. So immediately Last takes his gas very early. Now that doesn't mean he's in the clear just yet because his build has already been thrown off.
Yeah, and you're not 100% sure whether or not there's a proxy gate as well. This slows your barracks slightly, but not that much. Also, on this spot, there is a spot for an amazing pylon block, a mana pylon on your mineral line. So
that's right.
If the probe can get that off, it definitely will. I don't think Last will allow that, though.
Yeah, already this harass on this SCV is actually pretty good. The RNG for where it's rotating is, I would say, pretty unfortunate here for Last. It's only going to be 4 more hits here with the probe, and it can actually take that SCV out.
Yeah, look at this. Oh my God.
Oh my God, it's 1 hit away. He's going to try to come in here for a repair.
Oh, a bit of miss micro there for a second, but Last holds on. He's losing a lot of minerals doing this, by the way. It's important to mention, right? 4 SCVs not mining for a bit there, as well as the repair money. It does add up.
Yeah, this is really annoying right now. And in some ways, even though the gas wasn't stolen and we don't have SCVs that have been killed off here, the damage has still been done. The SCVs have all been slowed down. You can't really repair the remaining damaged SCVs, which means they could be killed off later on. You don't get medics in this matchup. And you tend to not stop and repair workers almost ever in this matchup.
Yeah.
And again, the harassment continues onward, now hitting another SCV before this probe is eventually driven out by this Marine.
Certainly that was a devil probe if I've ever seen one. No kills, but it did some damage, so good on them.
From Seattle, thanks for coming down, guys.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a long flight.
Indeed it is. It's a lot of people coming down to see this finals, of course. Like, if you have not been to a StarCraft 1 finals in Korea,
you haven't lived.
Yeah, you have not lived yet, so make sure that you put that on your bucket list. Now, Last getting that factory. Is he going to do something cheeky like throw down a second one? He has the money for it. That doesn't necessarily mean he needs to. A little scout going down at the moment.
And now what kind of tech game are we going to see here from Mini? He's already got some pretty decent grasp on what's going on. It's going to be the Nexus right away. And then I'm assuming, unless he does something really crazy, we're just going to have a Robo set up here, another gateway put down. Again, Reavers are still an option going into a mid-game here.
Yeah, they certainly are. If you want to go for the Reaver, it's always a kind of solid opener, but if Last goes for that Wraith again, you might be kicking yourself. Now, taking a look at where Last is at, he's got that Vulture out, making his bunker at the moment. Of course, that Vulture, we talked about that a lot in Game 1. Can definitely get a lot of probes if you don't stay in a defensive stance. And we see Mini turning around right now with that Dragoon.
There's that Robo again. It's important to note it's placed in a location that's a little bit harder to scout out here. If Terran tries to go into some quick scans here, sometimes just having that in a location they might not scan right away, it can be handy.
Also, it's on the edge of the base, so it's actually a scouting Robo as well. If they try to do a drop, you're going to see it more quickly. If they're trying to float something in your base, you're going to see it more quickly. Both strategies that we see from time to time on Match Point.
Okay, the Vulture's going to stay out on the map, just like we saw in Game 1. Mini likes to branch his Dragoons out and try to cover as much area outside of where his natural base is as possible to keep the map basically dark and keep some ambiguity as far as what he's trying to do over here. And every shot on that Vulture, it means it's much more or less likely to ever come inside there and do any counterattack damage.
Yes, very fantastic Dragoon placement so far from Mini, who, by the way, going Observer Tech as opposed to Reaver Tech. And with that starport on the way, this is actually a really good move from Mini. If he sits defensively on Observer Dragoon and Last actually commits to the dropship, there's not much chance of him getting damage done.
And yeah, we're just going to go straight into, like, with this kind of Observer play, this is a much older looking style of PvT. It's one of the original styles, basically, that we had come out here. And I think this is an intelligent response here from Mini. He's going to pull it back, and that's so crazy. He's going for a very quick third CC. This could be problematic here for Last, Sartosis.
Yes, that is an on-location third CC after a starport against 2-gate range goon with obs. This is a very good situation for Mini right now. And look at him run around all of the mines. Oh my God, this is a huge moment for Mini. Last thinks that he is completely safe because of these mines, and they're in fantastic spots. I get it. I would feel safe too, but he's not.
Yeah, he went right by them. Keep in mind, you can get a lot more observers out right away when you're doing this. He can come in here and try to deny the CC, and that would force a cancel, which would be huge.
Oh my God, a cancel on the command center, killing the barracks. There's so many good things going on right now, but he should push the front. Siege mode is not done, I don't believe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Artosis. He's just gonna come in here for the dive.
Oh my God, 4 Dragoons running past. He's gonna be able to kill these tanks, I think. One goes down, can he get another? Oh, targeted the wrong one, a great SCV block.
Okay, he needs to get that one last tank. He does do it. These 2 Dragoons, if they target correctly, can take out this last tank right over here, right now. It's not gonna work.
What is going on? The tank won't die. It won't die. Oh my God. Oh.
That was so crazy.
Oh my God.
It was so important that he kept that alive.
Every muscle in my body was clenched during that. I'm cramping.
It's Reaver Tech right after this, Artosis. That Wraith is still out, but the observer sees exactly where it is.
Well, right now you have to say that was a good trade for Mini. He picks off a few tanks. He forces that cancel on the command center. He has an observer in the main base. If you see the Wraith, you're not just going to fly right into it and lose your shuttle. So there's a lot of good stuff going on for Mini right now as he takes his 3rd base.
And Mini now adding some more gateways. I'm sure he's getting shuttle speed. He probably won't reveal the Reaver Tech until the shuttle speed is done. And there's no real way for Terran to do any actual scouting here. As far as Protoss Tech goes.
Well, he needs to get his scanners done. And there you go, he scans. But like you said, that was off center, so he does not see. Look at this.
Okay, he sees carrier tech.
This is hilarious, and he's actually blinking that Stargate right now. I think he could switch techs here. No, I guess he is going to go carriers, actually, isn't he? Because we don't even have a Citadel. What's he making out of the starport cases?
Is it a scout, Artosis?
It's either a Corsair or a scout. It's one or the other.
I think it's a scout, unless he decides to cancel. Unless he was just, okay, he canceled it. Oh, no. What?
Well, what? You know what? If you have a Reaver and you're playing against a Wraith, this isn't the worst thing, right? You're going to keep that Wraith busy, that's for sure. Or, Tasteless, is there just any chance in the whole wide world that we see Defense Web here?
Oh, I will be so happy.
If he goes for a D-Web build on this map, Mini's got a new fan.
So this is a style of play that's been experimented with throughout the years, assuming that it's going to be D-Web. That basically was almost always deemed as a gimmick strat. It was not, you know, it's a good way to humiliate another player who's playing. But maybe Artosis, maybe he's going to get Disruption Web, and I'm going to lose my mind.
We've seen it in ASL one time.
You know what? He actually isn't making anything else out of there, so I think he's trying to fake the carriers entirely, and instead he's going to go for a bust, I think.
Maybe.
I don't know, guys. This is really complicated.
Well, the one Corsair that he has out, I think it is going to eventually be carriers, but the one Corsair is out, I think it's just going to clear the path for the 2 shuttles coming in. Which, by the way, there's a probe in the shuttles, too. So I don't know if he switched that out, but he did pick one up originally. This is so weird. I'm so excited.
Okay.
Do something. Let's go.
Here he goes. He's coming in. I don't see that Wraith anywhere.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. 2 Reavers.
Huge Scarab going off right there. Some good damage already. And, I mean, he's still got the shuttle sitting here, so he can just pick these Reavers up as soon as
he's going to be able to get the armory as well.
Oh, my God. If he gets the armory, this is a perfect time to switch into carriers as well.
Oh, and he can just drop back here and start to take out these vultures. No problemo.
Look at this. Right now, he's trying so hard to repair this armory. It's not going to work, though. The armory falls. Siege tank comes up, helps to push this back a bit more.
And the thing is, you're trading so cost efficiently with these Reavers against these vultures. And the Goliaths are eventually going to come up here, but I think he's going to easily be able to save both these Reavers with a shuttle and get out.
Fantastic drop play there. Just killing the armory, stopping the +1 attack, and just stunting Goliath production.
Yeah.
The perfect time to make carriers.
Okay, here comes another drop. All right, 1 Reaver goes down, but he can still get a shot up on this SCV, but the Scarab is stuck and does not connect.
Well, the dudded Scarab and the Reaver loss takes away a little bit from what he did before, but he's still solidly sitting here on 3 bases. He hasn't really taken any damage on his own side so far this game, so things are starting to look pretty good.
Wow, what an interesting game we have to start things off. Now, slowing the Terran upgrades is huge. That's kind of the only thing that Terran ends up having in right before you get to late game in this matchup.
Well, it's also the counter to carriers specifically. You are very specifically looking for 2-1 upgrades. Armor helps because carriers do 8 attacks at once with 8 interceptors.
Right.
And you want the +2 because then your Goliaths kill interceptors in less shots. So they actually kill interceptors before they go back and heal. It's a very, very important thing. That's like why 2-1 rushes were invented.
Yeah. So he's banking the rest of the carriers down here. Now, is the counter push going to have the muscle necessary to break through? Right now, Mini's basically backed up in a very, very defensive position. He could try to use these shuttles to try to help defend.
If he tries to push up to that high ground, it could be rough. Oh my God, a counterattack with the shuttles? That's going to leave him with so few units on that hill.
I know, I'm not sure if I like the Sartosis.
Oh my God, now he's in some serious trouble flying those. Oh no! Oh, he gets out the 2 Reavers. Very important that was the shuttle that lived.
Oh, I think Last might just roll him here. I think Mini played. Oh my God.
Ooh, yeah. I just don't know about that drop that he just did, Tasteless. Those 2 shuttles doing so little in comparison to what we see Last getting done with the bulk of his army. Going after this 3rd Nexus, he should be able to get the kill, but at the same time, we should have 4 carriers out now.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the other 2 carriers to merge with the 2 that are just in this position over here. But there's enough Goliaths out here. And you know, frankly, losing what was in those shuttles, I think he could have held this off much more easily if he just kept his army together.
If you're sitting on the high ground of that ledge, absolutely, you're going to slow this push down immensely, but we didn't see him do that, and now we have Mini sitting here on 2 bases against 3. Last is taking his 4th base in the bottom right, a crucial base, because if he gets it, it's another gas.
We're seeing Mini get really emotional here on our player cam.
Yeah.
In the bottom left-hand side of our screen next to the mini-map here. He is getting really upset. And I think he's starting to realize he might have just thrown this game.
Yeah.
He was in such good shape, but he got a little bit too ambitious with that drop.
To think that he could counterattack at that moment, it felt like he was very far ahead, and all he had to do was hold on at that point to get a bigger lead, but instead he took the big risk. Now, the game is not over. There is still play here for Mini. Carriers are such a powerful late game option. As he gets 4, as he gets 6, as he gets 8, it becomes harder and harder for Terran to deal with.
With Zealot legs, that's going to be very handy against the Goliaths. But I think Last is going to try to back up, just get away. He's going to take out this Observer. Not quite.
Well, he's got a lot of units here still. The Zealot legs definitely helping, as you said, running right into these siege tanks. Not that many siege tanks left over right now. The Goliaths unsure of what to even fight against here. The Zealots getting on top of absolutely everything, and Mini gonna plow through that army.
Beautifully done here by Mini. That's a lot of Goliaths that aren't gonna be able to clump up with the rest of the army and the rest of the reinforcements here. And this might allow Mini to try to come back now.
That was a great move. To kill that many siege tanks when you don't have a 3rd gas as Terran yet is gigantic. At this point, Mini should be focusing slightly heavier on getting out gateway units. You know, just really make your ground army strong, and without siege tanks, there's not much you can do. Goliaths will fight very unfavorably against Dragoon Zealot.
Okay, this CC is going to go down, and it's 3 base to barely 3 base Protoss.
Well, that being said, I still am, very much in Mini's backyard right now. I don't know how to say. I'm in his lobby. I'm in the library
You're in
his
sleeping
house.
Bag, sleeping in his garage right now.
That's right. Yeah. I hide in his attic during the day while he's at work. But no, I think he's doing great right now. After killing that army, after removing all those siege tanks, it feels to me that he can play a very positional game right now. Clear the mines out, get your carrier count high, have a big army running around. The siege tank count is not going to be replenished. And oh my God, Last is expanding the top left, Tasteless.
This is so smart. Yeah, a lot of times when you're against carriers, if you just expand it to many, many locations, it's hard for the Protoss to keep up, because the Protoss is trying to keep the ground army and the carrier army together while trying to defend.
It's so sneaky. He needs something big to happen for him, and that could be the beginning of it, right? If he gets that base up and mines from it for a long time, that's where he can actually win the game suddenly, and Mini will be really confused as to what happened.
What are the upgrades right now on the carriers? Is it +1 attack here?
It should be +1. I don't think he has +2
I'd imagine
yet.
+2 will be in the mail soon here.
hope so. He wants to expedite that one.
Yeah, this is now becoming a very complex and very interesting PvT. Low number of tanks. Protoss' ground army is getting pretty threatening to Vulture Goliath here. And note that Mini is going to go around this. I really like this and just try to attack in over here.
Well, you just cannot hold on at this location. You need your army together, but it looks like he wants to come in for a flank. It's just, I feel like Mini can abuse so hard. Look at this. He's going in harassing this natural. He can go harass the main, and his army just moves to the north. What does Last do? Does he just go for a counterattack?
Seems like Last wants to just try to push into the middle of the map here, but you know, with the number of carriers that are here, I think he could start to snipe every Goliath that comes out one by one. And if this ground army from Mini can actually push into the main, which would only happen if Last decided to do a counter push, that would be huge as well.
I think that Mini should retreat this army to the north, Tasteless. Like, he doesn't want to lose these units for free. And now the flank is getting really, really big. Here we go. He comes from the top here. The siege tanks sieging up and starting to hit some of these Dragoons. The carriers and goons actually trading pretty efficiently, though, against the Goliaths.
Okay, I gotta say, these Dragoons are really killing it. Meanwhile, a big attack here in the bottom right. And you know, the way that he split this, you could see, it's only the tanks that can really take on the Dragoons. The Goliaths are just not strong against them. And the way that this is traded, Mini is now so much more up in supply. This has been so beautifully done by him.
And he's killing so many gas units. That is so key. Oh God, this sneak expansion blast being found. We might even see him GG pretty soon here.
Yeah.
This is feeling almost impossible to win.
This is one of the best positional plays with carriers and Dragoons I've ever seen. Really punishing the Terran when I think Last, frankly, had a much more impressive lead here for a little bit.
Man, definitely some crazy moves coming out this game from both sides, but Mini is just, he's dominating at the moment. It's so hard for Last to actually field the right army. Look at the bank right now. He's waiting for each 100 gas, and he needs both siege tanks and Goliaths. And you know what else he needs? He needs more upgrades.
Yeah.
And you know what else he needs? Probably cloaked wraiths at this point. And you know what else he needs? 2 more bases.
He does not have enough, Artosis.
He can't. This is such a hard position.
Okay. Now Mini's reorganized. He's got a very scary army set up over here. There is no 4th base here for Terran, and it appears as though what Mini wants to do is try to push into this location.
Well, he is going to push in. The interceptors might get a little bit shredded. There are turrets and Goliaths here, but with only 2 siege tanks, I don't think he can hold on for long. Targeting down the siege tanks with these carriers, beautifully done. That's going to allow the Dragoons to do maximum damage.
Yeah, and from here, if he can take out these remaining 3 tanks, there's no way that Last can actually hold on to this 3rd base at all.
Yeah, you're quite right about that. Not even able to kill off any carriers here, it seems. Oh my God, going after that 3rd CC as well. I don't think that Last can stay in this game much longer.
Yeah, Mini did it in a really back and forth technical game. That's it, GG. We are tied up 1-1. Welcome back to the ASL Grand Finals here. It's tied up 1-1. Mini versus Last is turning out to be an amazing series, Artosis.
Oh man, it really seriously is. We have a really back and forth action in these games so far. It doesn't seem like one player has a distinct advantage over the other.
Yeah.
This is coming down each game so far over choices that they're making in game. We're not even when they're countering each other a bit. Like we saw a strong counter from Mini in game 2, a strong counter from Last in game 1 as far as opening builds. But they both fought back in both situations. So
it's crazy. You don't see back and forth TVPs like this as often as some of these other matchups.
Yeah, there can be a lot of decisive openers that just decide it or are close to decide it early on. But
yes,
that's not what we're seeing here today. We're seeing a couple of very evenly matched players battle to the death. There's nothing I like more than that.
So we did see Mini reacting pretty emotionally when things were going south in game number 2, but he's proven, just as he did in the round of the Final Four, I should say, that even when he starts to get upset, get angry, he can pull it back together. He can recuperate and stay on top. This is quite the opposite of Last, aka AlphaGo, the poker-faced Terran, where you just have no idea what is going on internally with him.
Well, this is kind of interesting. As far as third set map win, we see that so far it has been only Protoss winning in ASL in this matchup on this map. But yeah, it looks like Mind and Snow are the only players that think Mini's going to win, and everyone else thinks that Last is going to take it down. That's kind of an interesting statistic. I wasn't expecting it to be that one-sided in Last's favor.
For those of you that are joining and are unfamiliar with this map, maybe you're just coming in here to catch the finals, there's some areas outside of each of the 3 starting locations that have, it's very hard to see anything from the ground. So having observers, having anything in the air to spot is very helpful. We'll see if that gets exploited as we go into game number 3, Mini versus Last here in the ASL Finals.
Fight. In playground.
Mini down there in the bottom, as we saw, and over here on the left-hand side towards the top. Last.
I'm so glad we're at 1-1. It looked for a little bit back there like Mini might lose, but he was very clutch with the carrier play. Also some very obtuse moves here from Mini as well. He did get 1 Corsair.
That was neat. It kind of was his scout in a lot of ways. It kind of cleared the path, right? Based on the damage I saw, and I think it actually took out the Wraith at some point.
It must have, because the Wraith disappeared.
Well, I think that that's a cool way to do it if you're going to do these drops a little bit later on, but the Wraith is a problem.
Now, I do want to point out in this game, Mini not sending anything out right away. We're going to see if it's going to be a very late scout here from the Protoss. There is an alternative approach to PvT where you scout at the last or at the absolute latest here and usually try to squeeze out a Nexus.
You can use that to get quite a quick Nexus, have a very strong economy. Even a single probe definitely makes quite a large difference when mining in StarCraft 1.
Yeah, it could be deceptive to the untrained RTS player, the difference that having 1 less worker mining early on in StarCraft 1 makes.
Yeah, it's one of the more complicated things that occurs in this game. I would say certainly, as far as I know, the most complicated resource management that you can really find.
Yeah.
It's impossible to even truly discuss all the way here on the stream.
I feel like you could write an entire book on just that topic, and trying to balance resource management. And if you guys just watch as the workers are mining, how imperfect their pathing is. So there are actually certain patches that you never right-click on to have them mine. You just let the other units workers cycle in. there are some patches that are just much more efficient as well to have them set up on. And then, of course, when do you want to oversaturate versus when do you want to, occasionally there's builds where you want to cut workers entirely for a period of time.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're trying to rush into other tech. There's so much about it. This is something that they did fix, I think, and make it a little bit more clear in StarCraft 2, where the workers just mine in a cleaner fashion, so the math becomes much less fuzzy within the calculations of builds.
Live game bussin' boys, all right. Yeah. So, taking a look at this game right now, nothing too out of the ordinary on either side. We do have the scout from Mini going around. Looks like Last probably just going to go for a factory expansion as well. As far as positionally speaking, it favors Last slightly. The back of Mini's base is towards the front of Last base. That's always kind of the way you want it on 3-player maps. It's going to decide just a slight advantage. Nothing that is necessarily going to be game-changing.
Here comes that SCV in here to scout. Now, everything looks pretty standard. You generally don't want to put any tech down until you've killed that SCV, so getting the necessary Dragoon shots off on that one SCV is quite important, and driving it out so that you can choose what kind of game you want to have play here.
And certainly you're right about that, but most of the time when you kill the SCV, you just make a Nexus. Like,
yes.
Almost never do you throw down the tank at this point, because it's been alive for so long anyways. Oh my god, that Zealot coming out. Oh my god!
Okay, this is actually really important. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Artosis was 100% right that normally they make a Nexus, but you don't know for sure. And so, the movement there was so perfect, getting the Robo up and then setting the one Zealot up to hide it, because if you make one Zealot at that point in time, it looks pretty suspicious.
Oh, you see the Zealot, guess what gets made? An engineering bay.
Yes.
Because a one Zealot means that you're spending a lot of gas somewhere, and it is either to put in the shuttle to drop with the Reaver or to run through possible mines so that your DTs can get in.
So this build that we're seeing here is another one of the oldest builds, PVT. But the concept is very new. It was not uncommon to go for Reaver and try to expand, right? It was especially on maps like Lost Temple where you're both sharing, like, let's say the bottom left, right? The two bottom left expands there. However, oh my god, he's gonna go for the quick observer build.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. This is not the Reaver play that I thought it was going to be. Well, this is very cool.
This can be fantastic. We saw him do something similar to this in the previous game. And if your opponent is doing things like relying heavily on mines, doing lots of starport play, then suddenly if you just go Dragoons and Observers, that's a strong counter to that.
And these Observers are going to be faster than the more standard PVT build that you would have here when they expand, where you get the Nexus first and then you get another Dragoon and a Robo. This time around, he's going to have these Observers out very, very quickly, which means if Siege mode is neglected, these Dragoons can tear across the map and do a lot of damage. The one Zealot is used to soak up extra damage. We're going to see that used right over here.
Oh my god, if he
here
can
we go!
Oh my god, that was so important. That one Zealot was...
Yeah, it was
that
perfect.
Mind Drag, like, he had enough units here that if that Mind Drag had not occurred, he could have actually wiped those goons.
This is a game where Mini could possibly have his cake and eat it if he controls correctly. Oh! Ooh! Oh my god!
Oh man, just craziness.
Oh, is he gonna get it?
And he picks off the siege tank, but will he walk through the mine?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I don't know that he knows him.
Oh, some very hurt goons, one falling down, so a little bit of reparations there for Last. But as this is going right now, the fact that Last is focusing more heavily on the starport, on making vultures, Mini might have a moment where he can pressure with the Dragoons and Observer.
Now, even injured Dragoons are still pretty strong against vultures. The vulture shots barely do any damage to the Dragoons, and it's not too difficult for the Dragoons to sidestep the mines, especially with the presence of an Observer. But these vultures are now going to try to come around here.
Just laying some mines out all over the place. It's kind of giving him vision of anything coming in as well. It looks like Mini wants to take his third Nexus at the moment, and of course is getting that Reaver tech as well. The Observer sees the starport. Yeah, look at that.
This is such a smart recreation of the strategy he was trying to do in game 1, just ordered so differently that it is much safer. He identified beautifully that there was, thematically, Last likes to push out, he neglects siege mode and relies on mines, so just rushing into observers.
Yeah.
Of course, it's unfortunate that he lost that one Dragoon to the mine, but the idea is still there. From there, he sends that observer out that helped clear up the mines into the base to confirm whether or not there's a starport. Then he banks the Reaver back here until, I'm assuming shuttle speed will be done before the engagement will happen, in which case, if he wants to avoid the Wraith, he can do so.
It's such an interesting game at the moment. Like, we even saw the scan, he saw the shuttle, then he did another scan for the inch of main base that he missed to the left to see the Reaver tech. He knew where that Reaver tech would be, and in fact, it was there.
Oh, look at this, how he's hitting some of these mines here.
Yeah, but look at what Last is doing. He went for a third command center immediately, knowing that as far as tech went, he was completely fine, and he's going for an engineered base. So if he just puts up turrets and sieges,
I think he's going to actually do a Reaver Bulldog here.
Ooh.
This is actually, I believe, the game plan.
I don't know if this is a great move.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but we've seen this happen here with some of these Protoss players, where you just have enough, even though there's, tanks with siege mode, you drop the Reaver, sometimes targeting down even the Vultures if they're clumped up, and then hit everything. But the fact that he's basically not moved yet, he might be going for contain instead.
Gosh, I don't think he can get anything done if he goes aggressive at this point.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, with the starport, he's building his turrets now. He's going to be able to take his third base. I think Last, I think that Mini opened in such a way that he could have gained a nice advantage early on, but it didn't work out that way. And I guess he gets to mine from the third base before Last, even though Last started his command center beforehand. And that is due to this light contain that you mentioned.
It's so funny how sometimes we're seeing almost like PvP techniques used in PvT. It's hard to fight Dragoon Reaver.
Oh, yeah.
That is mobile on the map. You don't have to attack into the Terran. You can stay back, fire Scarabs, hit Vultures, hit tanks, and then back up. And this has guaranteed Mini to have this huge third base lead.
Yeah, if you want a siege push against that Reaver and not take any free hits, it's going to take like 5 sieges to get to your third. So it's a little bit annoying, but I like this setup that he has, the extra turrets. Last is playing extremely carefully right now.
So Mini is going to go for that Barbarian Protoss style once more.
Oh, I like that,
gateways.
Barbarian.
Yeah, and the shuttle and Reaver is the club.
So you're saying he's playing a Protoss style?
He's playing the Protoss style.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He's barefoot right now. Yeah, only with animal skins on.
That's like calling something big huge. I'm like, yeah, it's big. Yeah, it's Protoss. Yeah, it's Barbarian. Let's go.
Double shuttle. Shuttle speed is ready as well. He may try to go for a bust.
Look at all the turrets. Oh my God, he's making yet another turret here.
He's just gonna go for it.
Oh, I don't think Mini should be doing this. I think this is crazy.
We'll see. He's pretty good with these busts. He's coming in.
Ooh, a couple siege tanks actually stuck back on the ramp. Siege is up here.
Picks up the 2 Reavers.
Nice.
Can he get that last tank?
Oh, that was a bad dive, and 2 tanks on that high ground, really punishing these Dragoons.
Yes, but he might be able to force the lift still.
All right, let's see if he can do it. He drops these Reavers down. What can he get done?
Oh!
There's a turret there. He's committing pretty far forward with these Reavers.
Oh, he needs to pick up the Reavers.
Oh! Ridiculous volleys right there by those siege tanks. And now Mini has spent an awful lot to do an awful little.
Yes.
That was not worthwhile, that push.
Oh, get your iPad on. Too late. Got to be ready.
Got to use that low-tech sign, man. The low-tech sign never going to turn off. When all the electricity goes out, the people with their signs written on paper are going to be the ones that win.
Now, Mini is not guaranteed to die in a counter push because he was not racing to carriers or arbiters, which more recently was the common way to play. But Mini with the Barbarian Protoss style of mass shuttles with Dragoons and Zealots, delayed Zealot leg speed, allows you to have a little bit more flexibility here. We see just now that Citadel's being made.
Ooh, that's a little bit late, isn't it? He's not going to have Zealot legs for quite some time. And when you look at these supplies, Last is just neck and neck with him, which I would say at this point in the game is pretty good for Terran. A lot of times Protoss will max out before Terran on a lot of the more standard builds, but Last really nailing his macro at the moment. Very well defended all over the place. Mini just now getting that 4th.
Okay. That's very unfortunate where that scanner is placed, how many SCVs it requires to mine gas fully. Super annoying. So Mini continuing to grow, continuing to mass shuttles here, by the way. And in some ways, massing up this many shuttles makes it very difficult to ever push out as Terran and rely purely on siege, because you can always unload right on top of the clumps of tanks.
That's very true. I think that we'll see Last make a bunch of Goliaths before he moves out. And for the meantime, he's made so many turrets that any attacks with these shuttles right now would be completely foolish. They would be shut down so hard.
Man, such a good game so far. That the two Reavers that were shot down, that is going to be haunting for Mini. Had he picked them up and gone back just a little bit.
Well, that entire attack, I think, was a bit over the top. When you see that many turrets, like, he dived right before one of them finished, but there were tanks on the high ground and everything. It was so well defended. It was like basically the perfect situation for Last. He wanted him to attack in then, and if he hadn't defended as hard as he had, Mini, I think, would have broken it.
Okay, Mini now branching out to try to go for a contain here. Mini's finished up any remaining pylons he needs. So from here on out, it's just going to be a massing macro game. We should see Storm coming up here next with the style of play that Mini likes to use. It's similar to what we saw in game 1, where it's less oriented towards trying to get the carriers and the arbiters, but instead, assuming that the game's gone on for as long as this game has, bracing for the upgrades from Terran to be very strong and your reliance on Storm to be key.
This is going to be very interesting to see as well where he attacks through. The 2-1 is done. Do you go through the forest where you might have to utilize extra scans? Do you try to go through the center where you're going through smaller chokes and Storm can actually be used a little bit more efficiently?
Man, I don't know. It's a really tough one to call.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of Zealots.
Yes, it is. You make a lot of Zealots with this, and then all your gas goes to Storm and Templars.
Well, he's maxed out right now, up about 20 supply at the moment. Last starting to move out. He'll be maxed right around the time that this engagement actually occurs. Now, how do you want to engage? Do you go into the forest? Do you stay in the center?
So. I think you want to actually, I might be wrong, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think you want to loop around to the top.
Yeah.
And then if they push any further down towards the southeast here, you try to loop over and hit them from above at their third base.
Yeah, maybe. We're at a critical moment because the 5th base is being taken from Mini. These are all kind of standard things that we're seeing that you're trying to attack as that 5th is being taken.
There's also a chance that Terran simply expands to the bottom left here. Takes those free bases there. Oh my God, he's going for it.
Yeah, he's looping around to this area. Okay, out comes some drops from the shuttles into the turrets. Really poor shuttle drops in my opinion there.
Oh my God, what?
He's kind of getting stuck here on the depots. He forces the lift, but the counterattack of Last is very strong looking.
Terrible Storm there. What's actually back at home here? Oh my God. Well, some of these Storms would be pretty handy here.
He doesn't have that many though, unfortunately. Looks like one goes off. This army very strong. Now here comes the flank. If Last does not deal with this correctly, he will get this army wiped.
Okay, he needs to get into a good position here. If Mini does not deal with this correctly as well, he's going to be contained at the only point where all of his gateways are, which, by the way, is how he lost game number 1.
Nice army movement coming out of Last, getting some of these units in the back, but doesn't have a whole lot. Look at this, a huge army coming down, a shuttle coming from the main base here as well. Nothing in it, though. Okay.
Yeah, I think he was trying to force an unsiege over there. And I think actually Mini cleaned this up. But is this enough here? Because there is a follow-up push coming in here, which may squish the remainder of whatever Mini has here.
God, I gotta say, this is looking pretty good for Last right now. The fact that Mini lost a baser and all this, and that wasn't as efficient a thing as I think he could have done.
I agree.
So Last sitting here on a 3 gas, he has so many siege tanks. This next push is super strong.
And of course, Mini will have to break the contain that Last is set up on him. We see Dragoons trying to come through here, but so many mines to try to tear through. Meanwhile, these siege tanks are going to be showering down shots onto this Nexus.
Right, a couple drops coming in right now. No real anti-air up here to speak of. So he's actually going to clear this set of siege tanks. Beautifully done.
So good.
Just beautifully done.
And from here, the Reaver can go back and he can try to fight just the Vultures with the Reaver alone.
Yeah, More tanks coming up, though. It looks like he's going to lose this base. He does have that top right, but no probes mining at the moment.
Yeah, it's more of a positional location he controls instead of one that he's actually getting a lot of equity out of. But he does have gateways there. He needed to get gateways somewhere else, and finally having gateways at that other starting location is going to be pretty handy. We see Last has a 4th base set up as well.
Man. Last is not missing a beat here. His minerals are staying so low. He's continuing to expand. He's continuing to upgrade, to push multiple expansions at the same time, do like contains. Last is just playing an amazing game here.
Okay, more Dragoons are coming out. These defensive matrices are perfect, by the way. It's allowing just enough additional siege tank shots to get off to really optimize the position that Last has. The Mini's trying to break through here, but you can see there's just not quite enough. And here we have another expansion that's about to fall here for Mini. Even though Mini's managed to equalize the supply a little bit more.
Well, all those probes going down as well as the Nexus is going to be very, very painful. His mining is getting so low at the moment. His supply with it, trying to bust through here once again. And I mean, maybe he clears this, but what kind of economy is he going back to?
Okay, we have a storm drop over here. Yeah, we don't. Oh, this is painful to watch.
Well, we have 2 storms. All right, there's one.
Picks up. I think that's the wise decision. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that there was a Wraith over there. And so this is going to be cleaned up. There is an attack pushing down here now into this bottom left position, but I think there might be just too many tanks and vultures, everything necessary to take on an attack like this.
Yeah, I think you're right about that one, Tasteless. Not that many units here, 4 Mini left over.
EMP on the Dragoons here.
That's overkill.
Yeah. And now it's... Yeah, I think Mini might have to tap out. Well, that's the only base he's mining from right there.
84 supply against 148, where the Terran has 4 bases and better upgrades. Better luck next game, Mini.
Yeah, it looks like Last has done it, even though I think a lot of the concepts that Mini was trying to take advantage of were absolutely brilliant. It doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. The Terran has basically outgrown the Protoss, punished every attempted usage of the Reaver. Oh no!
Yeah, every single thing he trying at this point is starting to knock down.
That's it, GG. Last takes game number 3.
We see this attack in, and there was a counterattack, of course, from Last at the same time. I think that those 2 shuttles diving in was a huge part of the problem of this attack. And obviously, that huge depot wall, as well as the siege tank on high ground, really mess that up for Mini. Now, the flank on this army could have been how he fought back. If he had only poked there and then immediately turned around for a flank on this army, I think that could have been a game-winning move, but of course you have to almost have a 6th sense to pull something like that off.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, now he cleans this up, but already, you know, there's a macro wave coming out here, so even though Mini wins this fight, the follow-up attack is too good. And keep note, guys, all the gateways are inside the Protoss's main. He does not have an abundance of gateways in the other main that he managed to get, which might be an adjustment that Mini needs to make here. Because once Last gets a minefield set up, which is where this army that's pushing down here manages to get set up, then you have control of the point at which the army can try to flow out on the map.
Yeah, you can't clear that very quickly. Look how many mines he throws down in a matter of seconds. And to clear that out before the siege tanks just destroy all your units, that's a tough one. So this was a fantastic follow-up attack there from Last. He is just playing some of the most solid TVP that we have seen.
And really showing how to handle this Reaver style. Now Mini, as you can see, you can kind of know how he's feeling just by looking at him.
Yeah, he wears his heart on his sleeve.
He looks a little bit beaten up. But he did manage to come back with an insane victory in Game 2. There's no reason why he couldn't do it in Game 4.
Well, the map 4 is Blockchain. Now, this map is generally considered heavily favored for Protoss, but we'll see. Last beat Rain on it.
Welcome back to the ASL Finals. Last with a 2-1 lead versus Mini. Last reliant on immediate blind counter Wraith in an attempt to respond to the threat of this very modern PvT meta of using Reavers not simply to harass, but to aid in pushes and to aid in defense.
This is such a cool thing that we're seeing from him, and we saw it against Rain as well. It feels more refined here against Mini, but the fact that he is relying on those mines, relying on the Wraith, and saying, okay, this counters just about everything altogether. But I think that Mini has found a little bit of a hole. Like this idea of going for a quicker observer with Dragoons, there is potential there. Like, for instance, the type of style that Last is using is a little bit like how Sharp plays. And the worst games that you see from Sharp are the ones where people just go Observer Dragoon against him because it becomes hard to hold. So if Mini wants to double down that, maybe that'll work. But our next map is so different that I don't know if anything that we just talked about is going to come into play because it's Blockchain.
That's very true. One other thing I just want to remark on is that we noticed that even though Mini had enough to sometimes hold these pushes off, he did not have enough gateways in another spawn location, and therefore he got contained. And a lot of times that's how you beat someone who's really powering in one corner of the map. But to what you were saying, yes, Blockchain is the map. Blockchain requires a very different approach, a very different understanding, and I'm really not sure what this match is going to look like.
Well, there's a lot of mind games here, no doubt about it. Carriers are the ultimate unit, but there's some very strong Blockchain anti-carrier builds, and Last knows them all to a T, which sometimes forces a more gateway-centric style out of a Protoss player. You know, you put all that together, all the different areas that can be dropped, how powerful air dominance can be, the fact that the center is buildable and there's a huge expansion in the center of the map. I mean, just about anything could happen here.
Okay, again, 4 spawn locations on this map. It's a map where you can create islands or open them up.
The Terrans think Last is going to take this, Tasteless. We see Mind, Piano, as well as Sharp, all saying Last has got this map. That's all the Terrans that made it this far. And then we also have Larva over there. So, I mean, it says something about how powerful Last was on Blockchain against Rain, where he went 2-0 against him in the previous round to advance here to the finals.
Does Mini have any crazy all-in up his sleeve? The center of the map is buildable. You don't have to play a long game if you don't want to in PvT. You can try to do an all-in and bring it to Game 5. If Mini loses here, the story is done and Last becomes the ASL champion. If Mini wins and begins the comeback, we'll go to our final game on game number 5.
Ooh, I would love to see Neo Sylphid once again, but Mini has to overcome the monster that is Last here. He is going to nail whatever he's going for. Do you take a risk? Do you play it standard? There's a lot of choices. You know, for most players, a standard PvT here is Protoss favored, but against Last, I'm not so sure.
Game is ready to go.
Game is ready.
Game is ready.
Game is ready.
StarCraft, good game. Game is fun. Game makes smile.
The Barbarian Castle.
Play in Blockchain.
Game make good. Game make smile.
Game ready. Game start.
Game make happy good time having.
Indeed it does. In the bottom left, Mini. Top left, last. Game good game. Show good game fans.
Okay. We have the cross spawns over here.
That's cool. I like that.
Yes. I was very curious to see because, you know, if you both share the top or you both share the left or the right.
Changes it a lot.
Absolutely.
I like maps that are that dynamic. You know, if you have a map like, you know, let's say Circuit Breakers, right? Yeah, maybe horizontal spawns are really, really different, but vertical, not as much. Cross spawns, not as much, but here it's like every different spawn set you can get gives you a very different set of expansions that you're really potentially looking at in different areas to defend as well.
Now, one thing to note about this map is there are a lot of moments where Terran can abruptly struggle to get a third base.
Yes.
Especially against Speed Shuttle. Now, we're already seeing Last has announced his answer to that style of play by immediately making a Wraith, but I still think, just due to the wide area of the main and the potential third bases, which can potentially be turned into islands or opened up, it's still going to be hard. And I wonder if it's something that Last tries to address directly by trying to counter shuttle play, or if it's something where he tries to play around it by not making a quick third base as much of a necessary theme in the game itself.
Well, there's definitely some two-base pushes that you can do that were developed heavily for blockchain. There is, for instance, like 2-1 builds on 2 bases. There's some very drop-heavy play that goes into like a 7-factory timing on 2 bases. There's a lot of options here, is basically what I'm trying to say. That third base, it is such a big deal, especially with Mini and how much he likes shuttles. Shuttles just outdo dropships early on. You can't use dropships to defend those islands.
Okay, so the first scout is off here. Wait.
Yeah, he just wants the
Okay, I'm sorry.
Nexus.
I got thrown off for a second. I thought where we were time-wise in the game. Okay. And so, yeah, he is going to get that quick Nexus up here. And we're going to have the SCV from Last. It's at the bottom right now. It'll be going over here to the bottom center.
And he's going to scout that that is a very quick Nexus. I believe it's before the Cybernetics core. Before any probes were mining gas, kind of an older way to get your Nexus. But I think based upon his scouting, he sees that there's nothing too crazy going on. Okay, sees that Nexus.
So Mini's, what he's doing here is he opened up with the option to be standard and safe in case something crazy happened from the Terran.
Yes.
But once you identify what the Terran's doing, it's almost like you're driving a stick. You completely shift your build into something else, throw the Nexus down, get a few more minerals, and then go right back into the normal build because you know that you're probably not going to die to anything right away. It is not the most ideal way to get to where you want it to be, but it's safer because you're at least getting confirmation that nothing crazy is happening.
Yeah, and we've seen so many crazy games on this map specifically.
Oh, I almost choked on my water.
Okay, so this is really fascinating. Last is proxying a factory to float in, but he did this against rain. Why? When would this work again? Like, there's no chance that Mini would not have watched that, and he just placed a pylon in the correct spot already. Now, maybe he doesn't float in. Maybe he rallies for a push, but there's a ramp to push up. It seems like, I don't think this could work,
Let's also point out that if you can run a probe underneath a floated factory, you can make it so it can't land.
Yeah.
And then you're just sitting there with a factory floating on the wrong side of the map, and you can't do much with it.
So true. He sees the Marines, he sees the Vultures.
It's 2 Zealots. They'll be reliant on capitalizing on the ramp here to try to hold this attack off.
Okay, so he's actually floating it at the same exact time he's going to hit here. This is really interesting, actually. I mean, I was talking some trash, but look at this. He's not going to be able to get anything under there in time, right?
Yeah, there's no way. There's nothing there.
And his attention is definitely going to be in multiple locations.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, miscontrol here too.
Oh, he's going to kill the Zealots very easily, but a Dragoon comes out, so he's definitely not losing the whole situation here.
Oh! Going all the way across the map. And he's going to evacuate the probes over here.
Yeah, I mean, Okay, you have these vultures in here. Do you go for the eggs? Is that the play?
I don't know.
Off?
Oh, he's kept that vulture alive,
eggs,
by the way.
Yeah. That must be mines. So, yeah, I think as many what you want to do here, I would say, is break down the eggs and go save your Nexus. It takes a long time for vultures to kill a Nexus.
Oh, this is such a complex game here. How far out is the Robo? Do we even have a Robo being made?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, if he is making it, then I guess you can get a shuttle, but I think killing the eggs might be quicker. Okay, the Robo is on the way.
Well, my concern is that he's not going to be able to get observers out in time here to really help himself in any way.
I don't know the timing of this, actually. This is so fascinating. I thought for sure, based on the fact that he already did this and Mini was prepared, it seemed with that pylon where it was, that this would be an easy hold, but it seems like nothing of the sort.
Oh, now that was a bit of a misplay there by Last. Every vulture is precious when you're doing a build like this. We still don't have any. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's actually huge.
Yeah, he kind of needs a siege tank to pop out. I don't think he'll have to cancel this command center, but it's a big delay. He is going to lose that Nexus, though.
Yes, very true.
There's no question the Nexus is going down. Oh, I love this Dragoon. This Dragoon's ridiculous.
This Dragoon is the best thing that Mini's done so far in this game. Seriously, I mean, this is slowing him down, his opponent down so much. And he's even going to target down this one last SCV because if he can get the kill on it, yeah.
Well, that Dragoon was certainly as annoying as can be. He's killed the Nexus, and now his command center will simply be down first. My gosh.
Now he's going to try to come out here with the Reaver. He's going to go for one base play. Oh, my God.
Oh, I love it. He already took down these guys who's cut off that path for walking.
Wow. Now, there's a chance, I think, that Protoss tries to go for a push here because otherwise you're playing from behind.
Oh, like a giant bulldog?
I think so. I mean, this game has already gotten to be pretty crazy technical, but I believe it might be slightly better. Well, he's not going to do it, though, Ortosis.
Well, he's got turrets already. He's setting up mines everywhere. If he just makes a bunker to boot in the front, it's like impossible for a Bulldog to work, isn't it?
You might be right.
I think so.
It's hard to say. In fact, I think instead what Mini's going to do is double expand and then rely on some Reaver pressure.
Okay, that kind of makes some sense, right? If you're defending with turrets instead of a Wraith, and in this game that is the case at the moment, then the defense against the Reaver is a lot harder. Sure, turrets are good, but there's a lot of ground to defend overall, so the Reavers can kind of play at the edges of your base for sure. Right, but he is defending so hard right now. Last getting that bunker up even. Looks like, I bet you that's siege mode.
Yeah, and I think he knows he just needs to stay back. But Mini's pretty crafty at coming back in situations like this, and we see a Stargate coming in here now. So he's going to go for 3-base carrier tech with Dragoon Reaver here.
Yeah.
And the way that Last is playing, Last probably cannot attack out anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that, right? He just got his second factory home. He's got a pretty good-sized army, but he can't do anything against a well-controlled Reaver at the moment. So it looks like Last is getting ready to open up that area for a third base. And the thing is, Mini's entire build is behind. Like, strategically having 3 bases and going carriers after a Reaver, that's good stuff. But when you lost your Nexus and your Terran opponent's expansion was quicker than yours, this really seems like it's hard, whether Last goes 2-base or 3-base here. He should have like a timing push that's very hard to stop.
What an interesting start. It's cool to see how both players try to then transition into more of a standard play here. It can be kind of difficult, I think, from anybody's perspective to try to figure out, okay, who clearly is in the lead? I don't know if there is one right now. You know, it was back and forth, but even though Last did manage to take out that Nexus, that did not come without sacrifice. It was a much later command center there for Terran. The factory, of course, had to travel all the way back home from its proxy position before it could be used as a real production facility in any kind of macro-esque game. I
tell you, you scan, sees that fleet beacon. That is obviously very important. Mini just probed out into the map slightly.
Now, look at this Artosis. He's going to go for a lot of factories right away here. He wants to power out pretty soon.
He's actually adding some turrets as well, which is a little bit interesting.
Well, I think he's afraid of more shuttles counter-flying into his base.
Yeah, could be.
Even though I don't think that's what Mini's going to go for here. I only see one shuttle, right? He's not powering up with shuttles at all.
Yeah, it seems you're right about that. I believe what we're going to see is Mini just get into his carriers and try to really utilize them and all the reasons why they are so strong on this map.
Now, losing this observer is troublesome, but it is not Mini going for lots of shuttles this time around, so he should have spare observers. If you're going for the mass shuttle play, sometimes you only have 1 or 2 observers, so keeping every observer alive is quite important. And here comes that push now against, you know what, not really that much right now.
Okay, he's going to offload everything out of this area and pick up the Reaver again. If he needs to get out there and slow the push right now, because what Mini will, or Last will do rather, is get a forward position, siege up, and turret push the rest of the way. Now, Barrett's fantastic against this.
Bear in mind, these are Zealots without leg speed just yet.
Yeah.
So they're nowhere near as strong against these tanks.
Oh my God, look at how close he is with this siege. And again, it's buildable terrain in the center. This turret push is going to be huge.
Okay, even just making them siege and backing up slightly might be enough to buy you enough time. There'll probably be another scan over this army to get rid of the other observer that he knows is going to be over here.
I love that there's 2 gas CVs here.
I know. Run around the map with barrels of gas.
Yeah. Okay, this push is really scary. Those turrets really mean a lot in this early game.
Ooh. Oh my God, it's all been taken out.
He loses almost nothing, killing the shuttle and the Reavers.
And he's going to lose this observer as well. And that means there's nothing robo-related on the map at all. 2 carriers is not the number you're looking for, it's 4.
Yeah, and even with 4 against this much anti-air right now, he doesn't even have interceptors yet.
Yeah, there's no way to kill the tanks. The Zealots are slow.
I think he needs Last to mess up here a little bit, push a little bit too quickly, or maybe push too slowly is a better thing to say. Okay, slow Zealots coming out with these Dragoons. He's trying to get in here. Just a few interceptors coming out.
Yeah, just 1 or 2 interceptors here. I don't think this is enough, and Mini is backing up.
Just slaughtered right there. Mini losing a ton of units. Still trying to eke out whatever he can. 5 siege tanks remain in the army at the moment.
If Last can win this, it'll be the 2nd StarCraft finals that he's won here in Korea. Previously defeating Jaedong 4-0.
Yeah, in the ASL finals. He'll be the first dual champion of those 2 leagues. Oh my God,
I think that's it.
Oh my God, that is definitely gonna be it. Last looking completely unbeatable. So many probes starting to fall. Mini, what can he possibly do to hold on here?
I think there's nothing he can do, Artosis. Too little, too late. And it seems that the opener that Last chose countered what Mini did so well. It allowed him to parlay this game into a very healthy push where Protoss, simply put, couldn't stop it.
Just amazingly done. Even spotting that factory coming, he could do nothing to stop the 2 factory of Last. Just a beautifully executed game and series here from this Terran monster.
He's gonna try to get enough. Oh no, even taking some damage on that carrier, losing those shields. Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't see him stopping this. It's not easy to push up ramps, but it's also not easy for Protoss to win when there's a contain at the bottom of the ramp.
Yeah, he can just continually build turrets at this point. Now, I think it's smart for Mini to stay in the game, pick off what you can. He is mining from 2 bases at the moment. I don't think that there's a starport for Last, so he can't really kill that other Protoss base right now.
That is true.
Maybe over time, he can pick off some tanks here at the bottom of the ramp.
Yeah, he's trying. He's trying his damnedest.
Hey, if you end up getting all the tanks against a 2-base Terran, your army that you're making can actually do a lot of work.
The problem is there's so few carriers and also so few interceptors that every time that Mini attacks and kills something, he has to pull away and try to remake more interceptors, which just takes up more time.
Yeah. Oh, look at all these Goliaths right now pushing forward. They've got that +1 attack helping out as well. Has to pick off these siege tanks. They're starting to really hinder his production and economy, even his starports.
Wow.
I think this is it. And the last push coming out of Mini. Can he actually break through here?
The Reavers are going to be pretty handy to drive away those Goliaths. Did he do it? Did he do enough damage here?
Well, there's not that many Goliaths left. Hey. Starting to pick off a little bit more with these carriers.
Keep in mind, there's no third base for Terran. Problem is, there's also no gas in the main here for Mini either.
Well, he's actually got a big gas bank, to be fair.
That's true.
Once again, coming forward with these gateway units. Can Mini break this once again? Pushes everything off the, you know, you said it, Tastes. It's hard to push up a ramp. That's for sure. We're definitely seeing evidence of that at the moment.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's keeping Mini in this game.
Last Army has been so much better for so long, but Mini he's fighting. He's holding on.
The question is, can Last get that killing blow off? If the Protoss loses the main, there's no way to recover from this marooned island base.
Yes. If he had like 8 carriers, we could talk about it, but this is a very small number. I believe he has 4 right now. And as more turrets complete, this becomes more and more difficult. Although it is Last coming up the ramp, it is Mini fighting up the hill.
Yeah, the Mini, you can see he's got his Reavers and his carriers positioned so they can snipe anything that just starts to stand on the top of that ramp.
Yeah.
And I love this play here. To take the center is the smartest move against the carrier play.
And you can tell Mini's really discouraged. He just gave Fish Lips a moment ago.
Yeah.
Fish Lips is the ultimate I'm screwed emotional face that you can give in StarCraft.
Well, I don't know what to say, guys. I don't think he's going to be able to make it. You can see Mini's trying. He's doing a decent job hanging on. But with Last taking the third base in the center of the map, it means there's nowhere else that Mini can really go.
Gosh, he needs so much more value going on right now.
Wow, so he's going to try to expand down that bottom center location in the hopes that maybe he can just stave off this attack for a little bit longer.
Time to float another factory in. I mean, I would love to see Last somehow get a starport up, but like I think it's probably smarter what he's doing, where he's just consistently pushing up here, consistently getting slightly better trades. Don't forget that the island-ish bases actually don't have as many minerals or gas at them. They're not full expansions.
Okay, there's enough mines here that Last knows exactly what's going on in this game. Now, every time that the interceptors come out, there are so many turrets that interceptors are going to be killed. And don't forget, guys, interceptors cost minerals. So in a game where you're starting to run out of resources very quickly, sometimes having them waste interceptors is the easiest way to play the game.
Oh, this is a great move right here. This is the end of the economy for Mini. He loses his only Dragoon there. The probe's getting mowed down as well. What is the next choice? What does he do at this point?
I think he can do whatever he wants as far as Last is concerned.
Well, he's trying to find another way to attack, but that is it.
We've got our champion. Last has done it, making history. Just recently winning a KSL. He is now an ASL champion.
This is just awesome to see Last really come into his own. Now holding 2 championships in the modern era of Brood War. Only Effort and Flash can say that.
That's right. Wow, such impressive play here from Last. You can see he really prepared. Mini coming out with a very powerful Reaver style early on, doing a lot of super scary engages. However, Last had a good response to zone that out at the start and knew how to deal with carriers in the late game. And that's why he's your ASL champion.
Awesome play here from Mini. I mean, we should really give credit where it's due. He had a magnificent season. This kid is a force to be reckoned with, and I'm sure we'll see him again. But you could see the overall decision-making just a little bit below his opponent in Last.
We are going to go to an interview with Last and see how he's feeling now that he is the Season 7 ASL champion.
김선 선수에게 뜨거운 박수를 부탁드립니다. 대국민 스타리그를 시작으로 ASL 시즌 1부터 7까지
Now you participated in from ASL season 1 throughout to ASL season 7. You made it at last. It's been very tough. And personally, I didn't expect to make it to final. But now that I won it, I can hardly feel that it's real. I'm really grateful for all the support. It was tough indeed. You always told that you're one of the strong nominees to win, to become champion every season. And you had issue with your wrist injury. But I'm sure the fans helped you throughout all those hard times. Fans were very worried about me indeed. And I was worried that I wouldn't meet their expectation. But I'm really glad that I become champion of both ASL and KSL.
팬분들 앞에 그리고 좀 아끼고 사랑해 준 가족분들 앞에 ASL 우승자로서
Now, as champion of ASL, can you say any words to your family or fans?
이제 팬분들이 좀 걱정해 주시고 응원도 많이 해 주시고
The fans have supported me. I really wanted to reward them with my champion. The championship. My parents came here to watch me, and I would like to thank them. Also, my girlfriend gave a lot of support. I would like to thank her too.
정말 좀 힘들 때가 좀 많았잖아요. ASL 내에서도 뭐 여러 번 뭐 상강까지 올라갔습니다. 그 이상을 올라가지 못했을 텐데. 지금 끝까지 최선을 다해주고 멋진 모습 보여주고 우승까지 차지해서 다시 한번
I would like to congratulate you again on becoming a champion after all those hard times.
또 이제 개인적으로 뭐 기다리는 선수들 여기서 어떤 걸 보여줘야 되겠다. 김성현이 어느 정도 강하고 어느 정도 높이 올라갈 수 있을지.
Now we will have to defend your title from many players in following seasons. Can you say any words to the fans? Okay, in the next season I'll do my best again. So continue to support me. I'll try to manage my condition and show you good performance.
어떤 상황에서는 ASL에서는 우승 차지하고 싶었는데 우승 다시 한번 축하하고요.
네, 감사합니다.
그럼 이제 시상식을
Okay, we'll move on to awarding ceremony. Can please give a loud round of applause to our champion last.
올레TV ASL Season 7.
Okay, we're going to go to the award ceremony now and give these players some moolah. Some giant checks. Indeed. The bank accepts them, I'm sure. So first we're going to bring up the CEO of AfreecaTV, Kevin. A big supporter of StarCraft and esports in general here.
I tell you.
Truly a fan of the game, really.
Oh, absolutely. He's been involved in StarCraft for so many years and really one of the people that have helped StarCraft to be as big as it is, both 1 and 2 inside of Korea.
네, 안녕하십니까. 여러분 오랜만입니다. 오늘 경기 즐거웠나요?
Hello, this is Kevin. Did you enjoy the game?
이 주말에 이렇게 올림픽홀을 가득 메워주신 여러분, 스타 팬 여러분, ASL 팬 여러분 감사드리고.
I would like to thank all the StarCraft fans who came here to Olympic Hall on weekend.
제가 드리고 싶은 말씀은 딱 하나가 있는데.
There's one thing I would like to say.
올레TV 때문에 가능했죠, 그렇죠?
Season 7 was possible because of OLED-TV, and we should go to Season 8, right?
앞에 뭐가 붙어야 되잖아요. OLED-TV가 또 붙어야 되겠죠, 그렇죠?
ASL always needs a sponsor, and it has to be OLED-TV. I would like to announce that OLED-TV will sponsor the next season too.
여러분과 함께 더 크게, 더 재밌게. 열심히 만들어 가도록 하겠습니다. 고맙습니다.
We'll do our best to produce the best ASL possible.
올레TV ASL 시즌 7 준우승 시상을 시작하겠습니다.
All right. We're going to bring out The number 2, the silver medal maker, Mini. I think he had a great showing, and I think we're going to see a lot more of him again. I thought he played excellently considering he has never been on a stage of this size or magnitude or been under this much pressure. And he's going to be taking home roughly $10,000 US.
Oh,
and
nice payday,
some
no doubt.
Flowers.
Well, this is just the start for Mini. I really believe that.
I agree. I agree.
In the next couple of years, we are going to see him back in a finals, maybe win a championship as well. He's monstrous already, and I see clearly how he can get a lot better as well.
And now it's time for Lass to come out and receive his second championship trophy. More money, maybe even better flowers. I don't know the quality of the flowers. I am not a flowerist.
No, you're not a flowerist.
Yes.
Nor are you a florist.
Yes. Nor am I a forest.
No, you're not a forest either.
So let's see how he handles the trophy, the check, and the flowers. 3 important items, only 2 hands.
APM, oh my God. No, seriously, he's been just so magnificent today. And
so this is a gentleman from Ola TV, our main sponsor here at the ASL, and he'll be given the big ball and check to our champion Lass. And by the way, Lass is just looking so solid, so composed. So exciting to see a new era of Terran really come out and dominate.
And you can see how much it meant to him as well. He had tears in his eyes as Kessler Park was interviewing him.
Here we go. And we're even going to use up the rest of our confetti here. Wow, he did it, Artosis. He's won a KSL and an ASL now.
Yeah, the first player to do so.
30 grand USD.
Right now, looking like the strongest player. With Flash not entering a lot of tournaments right now, this might be the year of Lass.
It could be, absolutely.
Last year we saw he and Rain neck and neck. Of course, he defeated Rain in the round of 4 here.
Yes.
Don't want to count out Rain yet either, but KSL's coming up. Lass has already proven that he's very strong in that format as well.
And also, guys, don't forget that GSL Codas continues on our normal schedule of Wednesday at 6:30 KST and Saturday at 1 p.m. KST. So we got plenty more StarCraft to give you guys throughout the entire year.
No doubt about that. Beautiful trophy. Grabbing those flowers as well.
All right.
It always happens. It's difficult.
Okay. That on our watch people die inside. Okay. This is a fun finals. Artosis, another great season. John, thank you so much for translating. And I don't know, any closing thoughts?
Well, it's just been a wonderful season of ASL. I think that overall, Brood War right now in South Korea is amazing. We're in such a wonderful spot. The skill is unbelievable. We have more top players than we've ever had before, and these tournaments are just going strong. So if you loved ASL, make sure you watch KSL. That's coming right up. The qualifiers are actually this month, and the actual tournament starts on April 18th.
That's right.
Definitely make sure you check that out, where you can see Tasis and I talking about the beautiful game of StarCraft Brood War.
That's all the time we got, guys. We love you. We'll see you in the next season. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are. Bye-bye.